During the soul blessing ceremony, every heroic soul desperately avoided me. My classmates all mocked me for being the most useless campus heartthrob. Little did they know I was linked to the Divine Spirit Hall system, which housed hundreds of deities. Even the strongest SS-level heroic souls feared these gods. But to receive a divine blessing, I had to kiss the campus queen for 10 seconds. Otherwise, the divine system would be permanently shut down. Yet the campus queen had just received the strongest SS-level heroic soul blessing. His father is a master-level powerhouse blessed with S-rank heroic spirit. In contrast, my martial arts abilities are mediocre. I haven't even received any blessings. I clenched my teeth, gathered all my strength, and lunged at Luo Yuli like a wild beast. This is my one shot at success or failure. Sorry, Luo, the school beauty. Ku Qingchen, why didn't you wait for Luo Yuli to finish speaking? A wave of scorching heat completely enveloped his entire body. Luo Yuli's mind went completely blank. What was going on? He had been forcefully kissed. Luo Yuli's slender arms flailed aimlessly without control, struggling yet unable to muster any strength. My power is only at the Qi C level. With his peak martial artist strength, he could seriously injure me with a single strike. However, due to the sudden nature of the incident, and the fact that he had just received blessings, the various elemental forces he gained had not yet settled, and were chaotically surging within his body. Luo Yuli dared not take any action at this moment, fearing that the uncontrolled power might backfire on him. In the end, he could only lean weakly against me, allowing me to act as I pleased. Meanwhile, my mind was equally blank. The 10-second opportunity comes only once. Hold for a full 10 seconds. I kept repeating it in my mind. The force in my body kept increasing, terrified that Luo Yuli might break free. In the midst of panic, Luo Yuli instinctively took a step back, lost her balance in the process, and was directly pressed to the ground by me. Up on the high platform, the principal stood there with his mouth wide open in astonishment. The once noisy and bustling crowd now feels as silent as a morgue. Divine Peach Blossom, the sword god's trial has been completed. Guiding the host to the Hall of Deities, the system's voice echoed in my ears. I felt as if my mind was flooded with countless blood-red silhouettes, completely drowning out my consciousness. I let go of Luo Yu's hand, collapsed onto the ground, lost consciousness, felt the pressure on my body suddenly ease. Luo Yuli, in a panic, pushed me away abruptly. Her cheeks flushed a deep red. Her large eyes were filled with grievance. Her figure swayed a few times. Then she fainted along with me. What on earth is happening? This is way too unfair. I can't believe there are such brave souls at Jianxin High School. I would call it that. I can't think of the words to describe it. Oh no, my goddess's first kiss is gone just like that. Ku Qingchen, I swear I'll destroy you. Just as the students were noisily chattering, a roar like a thunderclap erupted, resonating powerfully through the heavens and earth. Nearly every student felt their hearts tremble, unconsciously wanting to kneel in reverence. In midair, a burly figure appeared. A man with a head full of fiery red hair walked as if on air. He paused above Jianxin High School like a streak of lightning. At this moment, his expression was unusually grim. His gaze was locked onto me lying on the ground, like a volcano on the verge of eruption. 10 minutes earlier, he had received a call from the deputy secretary. His own daughter had astonishingly received an SS-level top-tier blessing. He hadn't expected to arrive at the scene so quickly. He witnessed a scene so shocking it nearly made him cough up blood. He looked at the dense crowd of students below. Cold light flickered in Luo Tianheng's eyes. In a deep voice, he declared himself as the chief governor of Guanling City. Upon investigation, it was confirmed that this student had been bewitched and possessed by an evil spirit, attempting to use physical contact as a method to seize the SS-level blessing ability. The individual was restrained and taken into custody on the spot, awaiting further judgment. Luo Tianheng swiftly drew the thunder blade, about to strike me down. Just then, at the critical moment, the principal's figure flickered, stepping in front of the demoted chief. Principal Zhang, what is the meaning of this? The demoted chief's cold gaze fixed on the principal. A heavy oppressive force emanated from his body, enduring the pressure of a grandmaster's aura. The principal's expression did not change. A subtle demotion. Kids occasionally squabbling. It's fine to let the kids resolve it on their own. No need to blow things out of proportion like this. If you really get them detained, and they end up with a criminal record, that could ruin the rest of this child's life. Hearing the principal's words, the crowd gasped once again. He is a significant figure in the history of Guangling City, the youngest chief consul. It seems Gu Qingchen is probably doomed. Publicly offending such a significant figure, getting expelled might be the least of the consequences. Minor disputes and petty troubles. Luo Tianhong sneered coldly. The energy from his body erupted once again, attempting to further suppress the principal. Unexpectedly, the principal still appeared calm and composed. Chief Consul Luo, I have been teaching at Jianxin Middle School for 2 decades. I am also your daughter's dance instructor. Could you do me a favor? And let this child off the hook. Luo Tianhong's eyelid twitched. He felt a little surprised inside. It turned out he was also at the grandmaster level. The principal of this small middle school had abilities that were unexpectedly on par with his own. In other words, if the principal of Jianxin High School is determined to protect a teenager like me, unless he falls out with the principal completely and takes direct action on the school grounds, it's unlikely he'll be able to take me away. And as the supreme governor, acting forcefully on school grounds is clearly out of the question. Luo Tianhong took a deep breath. Since that's the case, then don't blame me for using authority to pressure others. After some thought, Luo Tianhong withdrew his aura. He said coldly, Principal Zhang is doing quite well. I didn't expect you to be so deeply hidden and capable. If that's the case, for your sake, it's not entirely impossible for me to let him go. But today, your Jianxin High School must give my daughter Luo Yuli a proper explanation. The overwhelming pressure bearing down felt slightly alleviated. The principal finally breathed a sigh of relief, facing the most powerful governor of Guangling City head-on. He wasn't as relaxed as he appeared on the surface. Luo Yuli and I were both his exceptionally gifted students. He and I usually shared a bond that was both teacher-student and friendly. Naturally, he would do everything in his power to protect the school, even if the two had no personal connection. An incident involving a student occurring on school grounds could impact the reputation of Jianxin High School. It could also have a significant impact. The principal paused for a moment. Carefully considering, he began to speak, saying that according to the school's regulations, I will issue him a disciplinary action of probation. This disciplinary record will follow him for the rest of his life. The principal emphasized these 2 words heavily, to underscore the seriousness of the matter. Probation while remaining at school. The regent gave a cold laugh. So, what you mean is publicly humiliating the daughter of Luo Tianhong. It's nothing more than being placed on disciplinary probation. The dismissed official shook his head, speaking with a tone that left no room for argument. I demand immediate expulsion from the school, and I want to destroy all the meridians in his body, ensuring he can never practice martial arts again in this lifetime. The principal's face turned pale in an instant. In a world where strength is held above all, being unable to practice martial arts, it is no different from living the rest of my life in despair. The consequences brought to me by the declared death sentence are even more severe than confinement. He stayed silent for a moment, then spoke in a low voice. If young children act improperly, it might just be a moment of impulsiveness. And according to the school rules. The school rules. When he insulted the young lady of the Luo family in public. Why haven't I heard you mention anything about school rules? He let out a cold laugh. Just keep waiting, and besides, don't even bring up school rules. Even if it's the law. As long as it's within Guangling City. With just 1 word from me, Luo Tianhong, I can have it nullified. Principal Zhang, 2 seconds later. If I still see you standing in my way. Next year, the new school will lose its qualification to admit students. Revoking enrollment qualifications means sealing the fate of this school. It's equivalent to sentencing this school to its demise. A result like this is something Jianxin High School cannot bear. He couldn't risk the future of the entire school just because of a student he liked. The principal sighed helplessly to himself. Stepping back slightly, he was about to move aside when he suddenly noticed the sky changing. The sky turned completely overcast. At some unknown moment, the blazing sun in the sky had been entirely obscured. Not a single ray of light could be seen. What's going on? Luo Tian, who also sensed something was off, knitted his brows as he gazed at the sky. Such a sweet taste to swallow. Reversed and consumed. In the sky covered by dark clouds, a shadowy, ink-like humanoid figure parted the dark clouds with an ominous aura, revealing half of its body. As its upper half emerged, countless maddening whispers echoed in everyone's ears. On the school field, many students clutched their ears in pain, their expressions bordering on madness. It was the cursed spirit of divine wrath. No, an evil spirit couldn't possibly cause this kind of pressure. Could this be the remnant soul of an evil god? That's impossible. How could something like this appear in Guangling City? Luo Tianheng's heart suddenly trembled. You have to understand that summoning divine retribution upon an evil god requires grasping a trace of the principles within martial arts. And stepping into the martial Dao domain officially marks entry into the 8th realm. The key to the martial god realm lies in swordsmanship, blade techniques, spearmanship, fist techniques, and the way of strength. As long as one comprehends a trace of the principles within martial arts, one then qualifies to step further into deeper realms, to glimpse the power within the domain of the divine. Yet it is this faint trace of Tao essence that has caused countless prodigies and geniuses to meet their downfall. Comprehending the essence of the Tao here is already as difficult as climbing to the heavens. This matter aside for now, what's even more terrifying is, at the very moment within Tao Essence City, the aura emanating from the Tao will attract beings from ancient eras. The remnants of the fallen evil god's soul linger in this land. The fragments of the evil god's soul can sense the exceptional Tao seeds born from the minds of the world, and devour them entirely. The more intricate the Tao rhythm within the Tao seed, the higher the level of the evil god remnants that it attracts. Countless lives have perished, their Tao extinguished. Even those on the verge of stepping into the realm of gods have fallen. At this very moment, could it be that a powerful figure nearby is attempting a breakthrough? The exceptional Tao seed of the martial god realm drew in the memories of the evil god. Luo Tianheng rapidly simulated various possibilities in his mind. Under the oppressive force of the evil god, as a grandmaster, he unexpectedly felt an urge to run away. A twisted ink-like humanoid figure hovered among the clouds. Its raspy screeches pierced the air. Its head turned continuously in a full 360-degree rotation, as if it were searching for something. Finally, when the humanoid's head turned in my direction, he let out a hoarse, chilling laugh. Emerging from the pitch-black clouds, a massive hand covered in oozing sores reached out, stretching toward the direction of Luo Yuli and me. The principal and Luo Tianheng moved simultaneously in one swift step. Their faces turned gravely pale. As a lingering soul fragment in the world, it could trigger such a terrifying celestial phenomenon. There was no doubt about it. This soul fragment must have been a truly formidable existence in life. On the blessing platform, I, who had previously collapsed on the ground, wobbled as I struggled to stand. My eyes remained tightly shut, as if I hadn't fully woken up. I shielded the unconscious Luo Yuli behind me, then casually picked up a peach blossom branch from the ground, pointing it straight up at the sky. Within the ink-like filthy humanoid figure, countless storm-like sword energies converged onto my peach blossom branch. Inside the temple of the divine, I slowly opened my eyes, looking around with a hint of confusion. What met my gaze was a sea of peach blossoms, as vibrant as a spring breeze. At the center of the peach trees stood a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. This was the legendary Peach Blossom Swordmaster. I felt a bit surprised in my heart, noticing that I had awakened. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded at me. Sorry, I owe a favor to a senior. This trial was initiated on my behalf by him. The middle-aged man seemed a bit awkward. It was as if he was trying to explain something. I nodded, somewhat understanding yet still unsure. I sized up the swordmaster standing before me. I asked in confusion, since you're a swordmaster, why don't I see your sword? The middle-aged man smiled faintly. He explained, the world is not worthy of me using my sword. Then, a peach blossom branch was snapped off from nearby. So, this is my sword. The moment the middle-aged man picked up the peach blossom branch, the entire peach blossom grove seemed to be brushed by a gentle breeze. In an instant, the blossoms in the grove cascaded down like a waterfall, completely turning my field of vision into a sea of peach pink. Such a breathtakingly beautiful scene, yet my body froze in place, not daring to move an inch. I can sense, hidden within these intricate peach blossoms, is a chilling intent to kill. It feels like if I so much as move, I'll be shredded into pieces by the petals infused with sword energy around me. He waved his hand, and the torrential shower of peach blossoms around us suddenly disintegrated. In the instant the peach blossoms scattered. An invisible sword energy combined with an overwhelming killing intent instantly filled this entire space. Extending a delicate finger, gently pointing towards the sky, a single sword descended. An extraordinary phenomenon emerged. The sky seemed to split open into a crimson sea of blood. A sword that tore through the heavens. I stared blankly at the shattered firmament. My mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. At the edge of the rift in the sky, sinister and corrupt gazes peered out from within. Yet it seems to be afraid of something. Too scared to take any action. 1,000 years ago. In this era, heaven, earth, gods, and demons share four thoughts. Human lives are as insignificant as grass. Life and death rest entirely on the whims of gods and demons. To protect all living beings in the world, I once guarded the gate of heaven with nothing but a sword, slaying 81 gods and demons, destroying even the divine beings. No longer daring to open the gates of heaven. No longer daring to trespass into the mortal world. The middle-aged man let go of the mole by his peach blossom eye. It was as if he were talking to himself. I shuddered all over. In my mind, I couldn't help but recall the knowledge of this world. In a high martial world, cultivation begins with forging the body in the spirit realm as the first stage, focusing on refining the chi. The second stage involves martial artists. The third stage reaches the realm of transcendence. The pinnacle of the fourth realm. A master of the fifth realm. The monkey king of the sixth realm. The supreme being of the seventh realm. The martial god of the eighth realm. The immortal sage of the ninth realm. Each realm is further divided into 10 smaller levels. After reaching the warrior realm, advancing even one level feels as difficult as climbing to the heavens. The heroes of today. The most powerful are none other than the four who guard the borders. The martial gods who protect the lands of the great Xia. Yet even the martial gods have barely touched the threshold of what it means to be divine, and cannot truly be considered gods. Not to mention that even the wise Ji Xian in his difficult circumstances can only be regarded as a demigod, still far from the realm of true gods and demons. And yet, the unassuming middle-aged man before them managed to stand alone with his own strength, slaughtered 81 true gods and demons. What an absolutely terrifying power. Before I could even process what happened, the middle-aged man gave me a calm smile. The abilities bestowed by others. I grant to you, the ultimate path is not merely a fragment of morality, but a complete path I have spent my entire life carving out. However, this path is far too shocking and extraordinary, and it's bound to attract the attention of evil forces. Such words are strictly forbidden here. The characters have been completed. You are free to leave at any time. The affairs of the Divine Temple must not be disclosed to outsiders. After speaking, the scene around the man vanished like an illusion. The peach blossom forest appeared like an enchanting dream. When the peach forest completely disappeared, it revealed a sacred palace towering into the clouds. The peach blossom swordmaster transformed into a streak of crimson light and ascended to the very top, one of the 7 palaces, leaving me standing there alone. A branch blooming with peach blossoms lay scattered on the ground. I paused for a moment, stunned. Thoughtfully, I picked up the peach branch from the ground. Gu Qingchen, what are you doing? Stop provoking an evil god. You're courting death by doing this. Seeing me raise my sword, the principal looked anxious and worried. Called out in my direction to stop him. I don't understand why someone as gentle and humble as I usually am would act so strangely in succession today. Beside the principal, there was a flash of killing intent in Luo Tianhun's eyes once again. In his view, Gu Qingchen's behavior could potentially lead to everyone at Jianxin High School being dragged down with him. What is that thing in the sky? I'm feeling so miserable. It feels like there are ants crawling all over my body. A student let out a painful scream. On his face, clusters of flesh bumps squirmed endlessly, as if they were about to break through the skin. What is Gu Qingchen doing? What kind of madness is he up to today? Damn Gu Qingchen, that troublemaker. Mom, I don't want to die yet. Amid the unending wails at Jianxin Middle School, the sinister god in the sky let out a piercing howl. A massive hand formed by piled human heads gained momentum and came crashing down heavily toward Gu Qingchen. In the next instant, Gu Qingchen moved. He took a step forward. With that single step, it felt as if time and space froze in unison. In a fleeting moment, a blood-red moon broke through. Dark clouds, like ink, spilled crimson light across the sky. Gu Qingcheng was completely enveloped within it. In the blink of an eye, the deep crimson became the dominant hue of this entire realm. A faint smile graced Gu Qingcheng's face, with a gentle shake of the blood-red peach blossom branch in his hand. Beside him, an endless crimson sea of blood slowly emerged. Countless corpses floated and sank within it. Above the blood sea, the massive remains of over 100 deities, floating and swaying gently on the ocean's surface. An overwhelming and ultimate killing intent fills the air. The entirety of Guangling City is completely shrouded. Even the air seems capable of swallowing people whole. A faint breeze brushes past Gu Qingcheng's ear, lightly ruffling the tips of his hair. The dear God sword emerges. The living march toward their demise. Heaven and earth transform, bringing rebirth. Even the divine fall from grace. Gu Qingcheng stepped into the heavens. He laughed brightly. I, Gu Qingcheng, possess a sword that can make gods and demons of the world bow their heads. He thrust a peach blossom branch fiercely toward the heavens. An endless sea of corpses and blood surged like a mighty army, flowing toward the heavens with unstoppable force, compressing and transforming into a floating river of the underworld. He gazed at the deathly spring formed by overwhelming murderous intent before him. The face of the evil god, already hideous, twisted further. Suddenly twisted and distorted. No, you ascend. Before the evil god could react, the terrifying water of the yellow springs surged right in front of him. The yellow springs emerged from eternity. A desolate, endless torrent of yellow springs spanned thousands of feet, with a force powerful enough to destroy the heavens and the earth, directly crushed the evil god who had just broken free from his restraints, and continued surging forward, engulfing the entire sky along with the hoarse screams of the evil god, devouring together. In midair, Gu Qingcheng held a peach branch in his hand, pointing toward the sky, with a faint smile on his face, effortlessly slaying the evil spirit with one strike, as if it were merely a casual act for him. In an instant, the black shroud of clouds in the sky shattered with a deafening roar. Rays of golden sunlight broke free from the clouds, pouring down upon Gu Qingcheng. Bathed in golden light, Gu Qingcheng appeared like a supreme deity. Even the blood-red killing intent carried an air of divinity. Oh my goodness. After a long silence, someone finally murmured as if in a dream, staring blankly at Gu Qingcheng in the sky. When Gu Qingcheng unleashed the sword, the entire Luoyang province was shaken to its core. The sword's intent stirred up a massive wave of air. Stretching across hundreds of miles, the clouds drift and scatter, crushing everything it touches in the sky into nothingness. The sky above the entire city of Guangling is crystal clear, resembling a lake so transparent that you can see its bottom, completely renewed. Not a trace of gloom remains, stood frozen for a long time. On the playground of Jianxin High School, many students finally snapped back to reality. Oh my goodness. This is just way too cool. It's definitely cool. But that blood-red sea earlier was a bit terrifying. Not gonna lie, I'm heading back to my dorm to change my pants first. You're telling me this is the Chi Si Sutra? Even if you told me it was the elephant god dance, I'd believe you. Amid the students' endless exclamations of amazement, Luo Tianhong finally snapped back to reality. His eyes were filled with intense astonishment. That blood-red moon from earlier. And then there was that sea of blood formed by condensed killing intent. It was a phenomenon caused by the Heavenly Emperor, a high school student who had just entered the Chi Si stage. Yet even at first glance, he could trigger such numerous Heavenly Emperor phenomena. How could this possibly be? At this moment, Luo Tianhong was absolutely certain that Guangling was definitely not a major figure aiming to break into the martial god realm. Despite how unbelievable it all seemed, the one who successfully grasped the jade and came into contact with the seed was this young man before him, who was only at the Chi Si stage, defeating the soul of a high-ranking evil god with only the Chi Si realm. It sounds like an impossible feat to achieve, but Luo Tianhong knows this is not entirely unattainable. When a seed breaks through the soil, it can unleash hundreds or even thousands of times its own strength. And when a martial artist comprehends the essence of Tao, at the very moment their Tao seed breaks through and begins to sprout, they can unleash tens of thousands or even millions of times their own power. This is the power that touches the realm of the divine. The 1,000-year-long history of the Great Xia Empire. Countless emperors who ruled their territories, spent decades or even centuries, yet still stumbled on the path of enlightenment, unable to advance before reaching the martial god realm. The swordsmanship Gu Qingchen just displayed could create such a terrifying phenomenon between heaven and earth. There is no doubt about it. It is the ultimate path among thousands of Tao principles. Beside Luo Tianheng, the principal gazed at Gu Qingchen in midair. He nodded thoughtfully. Such pure and intense murderous intent. To cultivate such a path, there must be a mountain of corpses behind it. And this is something a student in the Qi-Si realm could never achieve. Then there's only one possibility. What possibility? Luo Tianheng hurriedly inquired. The legendary divine-level blessing. The principal's eyes were sharp and piercing. A few words slowly escaped his lips. Yet he could no longer suppress the smile spreading across his face. Gu Qingchen, oh Gu Qingchen, you're far from being some so-called failure masquerading as a genius. You are undoubtedly the unparalleled prodigy destined to lead the human race's future. A monstrously talented girl with an SS-level blessing. An unrivaled genius blessed with divine grace. It seems that this year, Jianxin High School's ranking among senior high schools in Daxia will climb at an astonishing pace. And rise rapidly in a terrifying manner. A blessing of divine level. Luo Tianheng's pupils widened. His previous anger had completely vanished. He simply felt a bit dazed. A divine blessing. He had only ever heard this term during high-level meetings. A blessing that exists only in legends. For some reason, it is unclear why. It has been thousands of years since it last appeared in the grand building. Divine-level heroic spirits cannot be constrained by the seeds of malevolent spirits. They are similar to the remnants of evil gods, freely roaming across the heavens and the earth. Only those with exceptional comprehension and a pure human spirit, and who remain untouched by the corruption of dark souls, have the slightest chance of receiving the blessings of the divine. This is limited to youths at the Qi-Si realm. Who could have imagined this? Luo Tianheng let out a sigh. His face was etched with sorrow. His earlier actions seemed to have created a grudge with this young man. It seems he needs to find a way to mend their relationship somehow, even if they can't completely resolve their differences. At the very least, they shouldn't end up as bitter enemies. As the chief governor of Guangling City, after navigating the political landscape of the Great Xia for so many years, he naturally understands how to treat a true prodigy, and knows exactly what attitude to adopt. At this moment, Gu Qingchen remains suspended in midair. His eyes are tightly shut. After unleashing that single strike, he feels as if all the principles and laws of the universe are entirely at his feet, rising and falling with him. All things return to one, transforming into a single crimson seed, merged into their own energy sea. The originally blue energy sea was instantly transformed into a vast red ocean. As the absorption of Tao Rhyme was completed, the system's voice echoed in their ears. The reward for the Peach Blossom Sword God trial, the Lu Divine Sword Tao, has been fully distributed. The Temple of Gods has now been officially bound. The next random god selection will take place. Trial duration: 12 hours from now. Gu Qingchen moved through the air using the remaining Tao rhythm, slowly descended from the sky. During the descent, his gaze swept across the schoolyard. His eyes, unconsciously drawn to that breathtakingly beautiful face. Luo Yuli lay quietly beside the seat of the Nether Soul, even in an unconscious state, still unbelievably stunning, like an exquisitely crafted porcelain doll. His entire demeanor exuded a sense of cold aloofness. He let out a sigh in his heart. He couldn't believe he had actually participated in the spirit's blessing ritual, and impulsively kissed the campus belle, whose martial arts talent was nothing short of extraordinary. The whole experience felt like an unreal dream. Thinking about what was to come, he realized he needed to provide a reasonable explanation to the campus belle. The thought gave him a headache. He surely couldn't just say it was because the system told him to. Gu Qingchen's mind was caught in a constant struggle. Suddenly, it felt like something was right in front of my eyes, as if a thin transparent layer had covered everything. Then, he only felt that the world before his eyes began spinning. The scene in front of him grew blurrier and blurrier. It seemed like his mental energy was completely drained. The consciousness in his mind was fading rapidly. Gu Qingchen collapsed like a bird with broken wings. With a loud thud, he fell next to the seat of the vengeful spirit. Witnessing this scene, the principal couldn't help but feel his heart tighten slightly. He quickly stepped forward to check. As he turned him over and over, and examined Gu Qingchen thoroughly from head to toe, he finally let out a sigh of relief. His vitality was abundant. He didn't seem to be in any trouble. It was likely that he was simply comprehending the misfortune, and had overexerted his mental strength, causing him to fall unconscious. The young man collapsed on the playground. His entire body was shrouded in a sinister aura formed of murderous intent. He continued to exude a terrifying presence. After confirming that Gu Qingchen was unharmed, Luo Tianheng couldn't help but take a sharp breath. No one could figure out how he managed to endure it. Such an overwhelming amount of top-tier misfortune. Anyone else would have likely been destroyed instantly. Luo Tianheng gestured to the people behind him, and gave instructions to the deputy secretary. Take him to Yangling's top martial arts hospital for recovery, and have a full-body checkup done for him. Just mention my name. Yangling's top martial arts hospital. It is the best hospital in Yangling City. The costs there are also extremely high, and having money alone isn't enough. To get into this hospital with state-of-the-art medical equipment, you also need strong connections. Got it. The deputy secretary nodded slightly. A cloud formed from concentrated energy extended from his hand, gently lifted Gu Qingchen from the ground, and prepared to leave. At that moment, Luo Tianheng's eyes suddenly lit up. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed Lu Yu, who was also unconscious nearby. His brows furrowed slightly. Then, as if suddenly realizing something, he tapped his forehead. How could he have forgotten about this? The root of the conflict with this young man named Gu. Isn't it because he publicly kissed his daughter without consent? Even though he doesn't have a good impression of me, there's no doubt he likes my daughter, Luo Yuli. Otherwise, how could he do something so outrageous? Right in front of me, the principal, and all the students at school. Thinking about this, Luo Tianheng's brows furrowed again slightly. That doesn't seem right. If this young man with the last name Gu simply liked Yuli, logically speaking, he should have at least confessed his feelings publicly first. Going straight for a kiss like that would only provoke his daughter. Could it be that his daughter and this young man with the last name Gu are already in that kind of relationship? Thinking of this, he glanced again at Gu Qingchen, who was beside him. The young man lay quietly on a cloud of condensed energy. His brows were sharp and striking, resembling the beauty of a starry sky. He was almost excessively handsome, to the point of being unreal. He became even more convinced that his assumption was correct. Hold on, Deputy Secretary. Let's bring Rainforest along for a checkup as well. Luo Tianheng cleared his throat lightly. He spoke to the Deputy Secretary who was just about to leave. Governor, I already conducted a check earlier. Miss Luo was simply experiencing intense emotional fluctuations, which caused an excessive imbalance in her energy core, resulting in temporary unconsciousness. There's no need to go to the hospital, the Deputy Secretary explained with a serious tone. Luo Tianheng coughed twice again. In a deep voice, he ordered to just deliver it as instructed. Why so much unnecessary talk? Oh, and remember to place the two of them in a private hospital room, with adjacent beds. The Deputy Secretary froze for a moment, seemed to have realized something, glanced at Gu Qingchen in his hand, appeared to understand something, nodded slightly, as if partially understanding. Two clouds formed by condensed energy, as if delicately cut, gently enveloped both their bodies. Wang Guanglin, rushing toward the first martial arts hospital in Longdu, the capital of Daxia. Inside a room dedicated to blade practice, a man wearing a crimson mask sat cross-legged on the ground. He held a rust-colored long sword in both hands. The way he cradled the sword was almost reverent. The man kept his eyes tightly shut. The killing intent around him was so intense it felt as though it could drip blood. Yet amid this overwhelming aura of killing intent, the man always seemed to be missing something. Time rushed by in an instant. After a long moment, the man slowly rose from the ground. He shook his head slightly. It seemed as though there was some disappointment. As the chief director of the Abyssal Demons Tribunal, his mastery of swordsmanship had already reached the pinnacle of perfection. Over all these years, the corpses of demonic beings slain by him could easily pile up into a towering mountain. Yet even so, he still could not grasp the blade of slaughter he yearned for. To attain enlightenment through the way of killing, could it truly be the wrong path? I can't grasp any reasoning at all. The man furrowed his brows, muttering to himself in slight confusion, because he couldn't comprehend the essence of the Tao. He had been stuck at the peak of the Emperor realm for a full 10 years. Just as he relaxed his body, planning to have a meal before starting the next round of enlightenment, The crimson-embroidered longsword in his hand suddenly trembled slightly, as if it were trembling in fear of something. And immediately after, a crimson tide of blood slowly ascended into the sky. The scarlet moonlight poured down, carrying an overwhelmingly pure intent to kill that permeated the air, chilling and bone-piercing. The instant the blood rose, the man's body trembled slightly with fear. Cold sweat cascaded down his back like a waterfall. Yet in his eyes, there was an unprecedented excitement and thrill. Such an intense intent to kill. The morality of slaughter. Isn't this the very path of slaughter he has always dreamed of? The man held a crimson-edged blade in his hand. With a trembling motion, he slashed through the air. The surrounding space immediately began to fluctuate violently, tearing open a rift in the fabric of space. An S-class blessing for spatial transfer. Just as half of the man's body was about to enter the spatial rift, his body suddenly came to a halt. In his perception, the killing intent originating from Guangling City had strangely vanished. The expression on the man's face kept changing, as if he was somewhat hesitant. But in the end, he still withdrew from the spatial rift. He possessed an extremely rare S-class blessing of spatial transfer, which allowed him to open a pathway for teleportation anywhere on the entire blue planet, through the spatial rift. This is his role as the head of the Abyssal Tribunal. It guarantees his ability to quickly reach the scene of an incident. Unfortunately, this blessing has a one-day cooldown period. If within this day, there's a major emergency elsewhere in the Great Xia Nation, and he can't make it to the scene in time to handle it, that would be a serious problem. The fear is that those sinister forces might try to lure him away. The man from the mountain contemplated for a while, pulled out the phone and dialed a number. "Hello, please help me pass a message to the governor of Guangling City. Tomorrow, I will be inspecting Guangling City. By the way, find out if Guangling City has any newly emerged martial gods. If there is one, no matter what it takes, make sure to secure an opportunity for me to meet with them." Inside room 504 of Guangling City's first martial arts hospital, the clash between the elements has subsided. All the body's indicators are in great condition. Stay for observation for the entire afternoon. If there are no further issues, you can be discharged tonight. Alright, thank you, doctor. Sitting on the hospital bed, Luo Yuli nodded slightly, and responded before the doctor left. Luo Yuli furrowed her delicate brows tightly, massaging her slightly aching temples. Just as she was about to recall why she was in the hospital, the door of the ward swung open again. A graceful figure rushed in directly. "Give Luo Yuli a big, warm bear hug. Yuli, you're finally awake. When I saw you faint on stage, I was worried sick about you." Hearing that familiar voice, Luo Yuli's tense body suddenly relaxed. "Xiaoya, what brings you here? As your one and only best friend, you got hospitalized. How could I not come to check on you?" Xiaoya gently let go of Luo Yuli. She lightly flicked her delicate nose with her finger. "So, tell me, what's going on between you and Gu Qingchen? When did you two start seeing each other? You little rascal, how dare you keep this from me?" Gu Qingchen. Luo Yuli touched her nose, momentarily stunned. Memories before she fainted flooded back into her mind. She recalled that abrupt and forceful kiss. Luo Yuli's once pale cheeks suddenly flushed with a faint touch of red. Seeing her best friend acting so strangely in front of her, Xiaoya's eyes immediately widened in shock. "Oh no, you've got to be kidding me. Don't tell me there's nothing going on between you and him. The whole school knows about it by now, that the two of you did something at the blessing ceremony. If this gets out, the reputation of New Jianhai's #1 beauty will be completely ruined. This Gu Qingchen is just too outrageous. To think someone would do something like that to you in public." Xiaoya muttered indignantly. "It's fine, I don't blame him. He's helped me out a lot in the past. I'm really grateful to him. There's probably some reason behind his actions this time." Luo Yuli shook her head. Her face flushed as she softly objected. "He's done a lot to help you. Even if he once saved your life, this kind of thing really shouldn't be done." But Xia Yang, who was originally analyzing seriously, suddenly became small in the next moment. "Though I have to admit Gu Qingchen is indeed quite good-looking. And honestly, what he wore today was absolutely stunning. Thinking about it this way, I feel like it might not be entirely unacceptable. How about it, Yulin? Why don't you just go along with him? Alright, let me show you something I secretly recorded." The principal has now completely blocked all news about this matter. This is an exclusive video. The talkative Xiaya pulled out her tablet, placed it in front of Luo Yulin, opened a video and started playing it. It was a video recorded on a phone. The footage kept shaking. Within the shaky frames of the video, a faint glimpse of a young man shielding a girl behind him, holding a peach blossom branch in his hand. What followed was a spectacular display of celestial phenomena. When watching the scene in the video, the moment the young man shielded the girl behind him, Luo Yuli's beautiful eyes trembled slightly. As the young man swung his sword, everything in the world seemed to fall into silence. The twisted filth in the sky exploded with a deafening roar. Golden sunlight cascaded over the young man's figure, radiant and dazzling. So, how about Xiao Yuli? Is Gu Qingchen handsome? You have no idea. Almost every girl in school is practically his little fangirl now. Xiaya excitedly turned off the video. She turned her head, only to find Luo Yuli still staring blankly at the screen, looking completely lost and absent-minded. He sighed helplessly. In his memory, because of his extraordinary looks and talent in martial arts, Luo Yuli had an endless stream of admirers, some of whom were even descendants of prestigious families from Longdu. But Luo Yuli always maintained a distant and aloof demeanor toward others, no matter what kind of suitor it was. Over the past few years, Luo Yuli politely declined all of them. Xiaya had never seen Luo Yuli behave like this before. It was truly hard to imagine. That Gu Qingchen guy. What kind of spell did he cast on the campus spell, Luo? All of a sudden, a dull thud echoed through the hospital room, followed by a male voice filled with confusion. My head hurts so much. Where am I right now? Xiaya and Luo Yuli were both taken aback. There was someone else in this hospital room. The next moment, the white curtain nearby was pulled aside, revealing another hospital bed inside the room. A handsome face carrying a hint of weariness, exposed under the sunlight. Gu Qingchen, who had just woken up, holding his head that throbbed faintly, looked around with a hint of confusion. Finally, his gaze met Luo Yuli's. The two of them froze at the same time. Xiaya quietly stepped aside, a faint smile lingering on her face, looking like a bystander watching the drama unfold. A faint sense of awkwardness lingered in the air, facing Luo Yuli's crystal-clear eyes. Having just woken up, Gu Qingchen was overwhelmed with chaotic thoughts. Amid countless questions, one crucial question came to the forefront. How should he explain to Luo Yuli now what he had done earlier? As a man, no matter what, he had to take responsibility for the girl in front of him. Not to mention, Gu Qingchen already had a good impression of Luo Yuli. Luo Yuli wasn't just known for her stunning looks. Her personality was also incredibly gentle and sweet. Whenever she spoke to him, she would even get shy. Gu Qingchen could never understand why such a kind and gentle girl was labeled as cold and distant by her classmates. It was truly puzzling. Before this, it was because the distance between him and himself was simply too vast. Gu Qingchen could only suppress these feelings deep within his heart. But things are different now. The awakening of the Divine Spirit Hall changed everything. Gu Qingchen is confident that he can crush any obstacle under his feet. Finally, he clenched his fist tightly, as if he had made some kind of firm decision. He spoke up, calling out to that student named Luo. About what happened before, let me explain it to you. But before Gu Qingchen could finish speaking, I have something to do tonight. I'll be heading out first. Gu, take care and rest well. Luo Yuli's tone was slightly flustered. The blush on his cheeks had already spread to the tips of his ears. He scrambled off the hospital bed in a panic. Grabbing Xiaya, he fled in a hurry. What does this mean? Watching their figures disappear into the distance, Gu Qingchen scratched his head, feeling a bit puzzled. Well, we're in the same class after all. There will be plenty of chances to explain later. Gu Qingchen didn't dwell on it too much. Noticing that his head still felt slightly swollen, he drifted back into a deep sleep on the hospital bed. He had no idea how much time had passed. When Gu Qingchen woke up again, the sky had already turned dim. After confirming that there were no issues with her body, Gu Qingchen completed the discharge procedures and started heading in the direction of her home. The hospital wasn't far from Gu Qingchen's house. After crossing 4 streets, Gu Qingchen arrived at an old and rundown residential area. Once home, Gu Qingchen had just taken out her keys, unlocked the door, and stepped inside, when a green bottle came crashing down toward her head. Glass shards scattered like raindrops. bursting open from the ceiling above, drenched Gu Qingchen from head to toe with a light drizzle. Who dares to challenge the great Xia? Watch me drown you if I don't stop. In the living room, a scruffy-looking drunk man lay sprawled on the ground. The drunk man had a thick beard. His hair had grown so long that it covered his eyes. Some parts of it were so dirty they had matted together. If he were lying on the street, this is absolutely the look of a homeless person. At this moment, he is holding a bottle of liquor in his left hand, chugging it down his throat with great force, creating a loud sound as he does so. This is Gu Qingchen's father, Gu Outyan. Ever since Gu Qingchen's mother sacrificed her life on the battlefield, he has completely succumbed to alcohol, spending every day either completely drunk or on his way to getting drunk. Even the monthly household expenses for this family are solely covered by the pension from the Wang family matriarch, relying on Gu Outyan's retirement pay for support. Staring at the shattered glass scattered all over the floor, Gu Qingchen skillfully picked up the tools nearby and started cleaning up. Dad told you to drink less, didn't he? Why are you drunk like this again? Gu Qingchen brushed away the debris from above his head with his hand, patiently tidying up the broken glass on the ground. Linger, my dear Linger, I miss you so much. The drunken Gu Outyan lay on the ground, muttering nonsense. As he kept talking, he eventually started snoring. Gu Qingchen let out a sigh. It was something he was already used to seeing. He helped his dad onto the couch in the living room to lie down. Then he wiped his dad's face gently. Afterward, he covered him with a blanket. Brother, is Dad asleep? He's already asleep. You can come out now. The strikingly beautiful girl let out a long sigh of relief. She peeked her delicate face out from the bedroom. This is Gu Qingchen's younger sister. She is 2 years younger than Gu Qingchen. She is currently a freshman at Jianxin High School. However, compared to Gu Qingchen, Gu Xiaoyu's martial arts talent can be considered average. It was during the final year of middle school that Gu Xiaoyu had already completed body tempering early and reached the first stage, the Qi-Si realm. It has now climbed to the 4th level of the Qi-Si realm. Today, Dad was acting completely out of character. As soon as he got home, he started smashing things around the house. It scared me out of my wits. Gu Xiaoyu complained to her brother. It's been so many years. By now, you should have already gotten used to it. Gu Qingchen patted his sister's head gently, only for Gu Xiaoyu to swat his hand away immediately. Gu Qingchen, I told you, don't touch my head. Not growing taller. Gu Xiaoyu had a grimacing expression, like an irritable little cat. Are you still worried about not growing tall? Gu Qingchen stared at Gu Xiaoyu, feeling a bit speechless. With those long, slender legs, Gu Xiaoyu, who is just a high school freshman, is already nearly as tall as the 6'1" Gu Qingchen. Just one head shorter. A tall figure paired with an innocent face. Absolutely a stunning beauty in the making. Although her upper body still looks a bit youthful, the potential for growth is undeniably immense. By the way, bro, how's your blessing level today? Did you reach level B? Gu Qingchen felt a bit puzzled in his mind. All the senior year students should have seen it. Me slaying the evil god with one strike. So why is it that Gu Xiaoyu from the same school seems unaware? However, he still shook his head. He began to speak, saying no. I failed to bestow the blessing. He vividly remembered before leaving the Temple of the Divine. The words the Peach Blossom Sword Immortal left for him. Matters of the Temple of the Divine must not be disclosed to outsiders. If someone lacks talent in martial arts, it's one thing. But even the blessing wasn't granted. It seems like relying on his sister is his only option now. Seeing her brother eating a pancake, Gu Xiaoyu decisively chose to mock him. But between her brows, she cautiously observed Gu Qingchen's expression, as if she was afraid Gu Qingchen might show a disappointed look. Would you let your brother have a bite? Gu Qingchen grinned and leaned toward his sister. Staring at her, Gu Xiaoyu froze for a moment, as if she hadn't expected that her brother would react this way. You really have some nerve. Fine, go ahead and chew. It's not like anyone told you not to. Gu Xiaoyu quickly avoided her brother's gaze. She grumbled a couple of sentences in frustration. Then she suddenly seemed to remember something. Her eyes lit up again as she stared at Gu Qingchen. Oh right, brother. There's one more thing I want to ask you. Gu Xiaoyu suddenly became mischievously clever. With one hand around Gu Qingchen's neck, she smiled and said, I heard that you forcefully kissed Luoda during the senior year blessing ceremony this morning. And that's what people are talking about. The joke is, it's not true. But if it were true, that would be so cool. Thinking about it, Gu Xiaoyu clenched her little fists in excitement. Get lost, what are you showing off for? What does a little kid like you know? Thinking back to that scene this morning, Gu Qingqian's face turned red with embarrassment. He instantly used the famous Foshan shadowless kick, and kicked Gu Xiaoyu straight into the room. You got this, bro. If the campus beauty Luo really becomes my sister-in-law, I'll definitely be the coolest guy at school. I believe in you. You can definitely win over the campus beauty Luo. What responded to him was the heavy sound of the door closing by Gu Qingqian. This little girl spends her days not putting effort into cultivation, but is more enthusiastic about gossip than anyone else. Gu Qingqian rubbed his temples with a hint of helplessness. He grabbed something casual to eat from the fridge. Gu Qingqian also closed the door to his room. In the living room, only Gu Outyan remained sprawled on the couch in disarray. But shortly after the two went back to their room, the snoring in the living room abruptly came to a halt. A golden radiance appeared, silently enveloping the entire living room. Gu Outyan, who had been in a deep sleep, opened his eyes. A divine golden light shimmered in his pupils. No trace of drunkenness could be seen anymore. He sat up from the couch, fixing his gaze on Gu Qingqian's bedroom. His eyes were filled with a lingering look of astonishment. Early in the morning, this child actually managed to earn the favor of an ancient deity. After the initial shock, a look of satisfaction appeared on his face. It turns out my assumption was correct. Children who grow up in adversity are truly the strongest. It seems the plan to have him directly inherit the family business will have to be postponed again. I'll need to be more cautious in the future, so he doesn't notice any flaws. Alright, I'll have to make a trip to the Daxia royal family tomorrow to upgrade the hidden identity level of the morning to the highest tier. Comprehending the ultimate domain at just 18 years old, I can already imagine the expressions on those 3 old-fashioned lamps tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. A sly grin flashed across Gu Outyan's face, and he returned to his bedroom. Gu Qingqian had just laid back on the bed when the phone started ringing. It was a call from the principal. Xiao Gu, have you been discharged from the hospital? How's your health feeling? Thank you for your concern, principal. I'm fine now. That's good to hear. You are now the hidden prodigy of Guangling City. If anything were to happen to you, I'm not qualified to handle this responsibility. You're overestimating me, principal. I'm just an ordinary student, nothing more. Gu Qingqian said modestly. Come on, you don't have the vibe of an ordinary student at all. You grasped the essence of Daoan Haijing. The principal chuckled and jokingly scolded, then continued speaking. Oh, by the way, Xiao Gu. Tomorrow at noon, 12 o'clock, the chief director of the Abyssal Tribunal will inspect Guanling City. Gu Qingqian, the chief director of the Earth Tribunal, was momentarily stunned. Then a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. Such a prominent figure. Why would they come to a small place like Guangling? In the Grand Xia Kingdom, strength is held in the highest regard. And strength corresponds to the hierarchy of the Grand Xia's governing system. District governor, city governor, provincial governor. The 12 regions are governed by the 7 heavenly emperors and the 4 great martial gods. Power and authority are structured in a progressive hierarchy. The Tribunal of Dark Fiends operates independently of the governmental system. It is a specialized organization tasked with handling invasions by extraterrestrial entities on Blue Star. Due to its unique nature, the Tribunal of Dark Fiends can even override certain laws of the Grand Xia and wields the authority to act before reporting. It possesses the right to take immediate action before seeking approval. The 4 great martial gods are elusive and rarely seen. They hold significant real power within the Grand Xia. Typically, power is held by the council formed by the 7 supreme emperors, and the chief of the Tribunal of Dark Forces possesses a terrifying cultivation level at the peak of the imperial sovereign realm, a status that rivals even that of the 7 supreme emperors. Now that's truly a figure of immense authority. But what does his visit to Guanling City have to do with me? What connection does that have with me? A few question marks seemed to pop up in Gu Qingqian's mind. He wondered if it obviously had something to do with him. The principal's previously relaxed tone shifted, suddenly turned serious. This prominent figure is conducting a covert investigation. He has rented out the entire moonlit pavilion. He plans to personally host a banquet for you at 12 noon tomorrow. If you can gain favor with this influential person, your martial arts journey will undoubtedly be smooth sailing. The head of the demonic tribunal will meet me tomorrow. Gu Qingchen frowned slightly. In his opinion, the principal and the demoted chief supervisor, it must be about suppressing the insights on Tao comprehension I gained yesterday, and covering up the matter of slaying the evil god. No matter what, comprehending the Tao at the age of 18 is truly beyond extraordinary. This is simply too astonishing and unheard of. Today, Gu Xiaoyu only remembers forcefully kissing Luo Yu, but has no idea that he destroyed the evil god with a single sword strike. This fact alone perfectly proves the point. That director. Why would they specifically name and request to see me? As Gu Qingchen was lost in thought, a mechanical voice suddenly echoed in his ear. The cooldown for the Divine Hall is complete. Connection is being established. The subconscious link has been activated automatically, guiding the shopkeeper into the Divine Hall. A red light gradually expanded before Gu Qingchen's eyes, filling his entire field of vision. Gu Qingchen immediately collapsed onto the bed. He fell into a deep sleep. Only the principal's urgent voice saying hello echoed from the phone. When he opened his eyes again, his vision was entirely filled with a crimson red. The sky was shrouded in dark clouds. The ground was smeared with fresh blood. The air was thick with the stench of blood. Blood of various shades was splattered across the uneven ground like paint. Countless mutilated limbs were scattered around him, currently matching a deity for the shopkeeper. Match complete, Silver Dragon Spear God Zhao Zilong. Heartbreak along with rewards. Released personally by the deity. This time, Zhao Zilong's deity is Zhao Yun. Gu Qingchen felt a surge of joy in his heart. As a transmigrator, Gu Qingchen naturally understood how formidable Zhao Yun was in history. A streak of red light shot out from the distant Hall of Heroes. It transformed into the shape of a human figure, standing firmly in front of Gu Qingchen. The man had strikingly handsome features. He exuded both grace and charisma, dressed in a commanding suit of silver armor that gleamed brilliantly even in the dim light. But what shocked Gu Qingchen the most was the weapon held in the man's hand. A long spear, imposing and powerful, sharp and unparalleled. Intricate patterns resembling runes are engraved on its surface, like silver dragons slithering in motion. Every swing of it carries a faint yet terrifying dragon's roar. The moment the man drew out his spear, Gu Qingchen felt her very soul trembling. Zilong pays respects to Lord Zhao Yun, kneeling on one knee and cupping his hands in salute. At the instant the man knelt down, Gu Qingchen felt as if a massive invisible mountain was pressing down on him. It weighed so heavily on him that he could hardly breathe. He struggled to catch his breath under the overwhelming pressure. The general, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Gu Qingchen forced himself to endure the discomfort. He managed to squeeze out an awkward smile, but his knees were trembling uncontrollably. As if sensing Gu Qingchen's distress, Zhao Zilong quickly withdrew the spear in his hand. The moment the spear vanished, Gu Qingchen felt the immense pressure on his body suddenly disappear. He plopped down onto the ground, gasping for air in large, heavy breaths. A sense of lingering fear washed over him. This gun harbored a profound terror. Simply being in the same space as the gun was enough to make him feel this way. If it were used in combat, Gu Qingchen could hardly imagine the consequences. The collapse of space might just be one of the lighter outcomes. Could it be that this spear is the reward for this trial? Gu Qingchen's gaze instantly turned fiery with excitement. General Zhao, what kind of trial have you prepared for me this time? Gu Qingchen asked impatiently. Store owner, please be patient. You are not allowed to proceed with the trial just yet. Zhao Zilong replied in a calm tone. Why is that? Gu Qingchen asked in confusion. The shopkeeper's physique is frail. The foundation for cultivation was destroyed during childhood. Forcing oneself to undergo trials will inevitably lead to a complete bodily collapse and death. The shopkeeper may have suffered severe injuries as a child. Zhao Yun's words immediately pulled Gu Qingchen into memories of the past. Back in the day, he was also one of the top geniuses. By the time he started middle school, he had already reached the 8th stage of the body-tempering realm. But one day, on his way home from school, he heard cries for help coming from an alley. A person dressed in unusual attire is assaulting a young girl. They are attempting to drag the girl into a van parked by the roadside. The girl's head has already been covered with a sack. Only her lower body remains struggling desperately. The symbol on that outfit is something he has seen on television before. It belongs to a cult that forcibly abducts girls to use them as sacrifices in their rituals. He decided to step in and rescued the girl from the cult members. She couldn't handle multiple opponents at once. She was beaten so badly by those cult members that she coughed up blood. She suffered severe injuries and lost consciousness. When she regained consciousness, she was already in the hospital. In the end, he narrowly survived the ordeal. But since then, his progress in cultivation has been extremely difficult, advancing from the 8th level of fragile body to the 1st stage of Qi. Gu Qingchen spent a full 6 years without suspecting any issues with his body. That is simply impossible. General Zhao, are you suggesting? A trace of excitement flickered in Gu Qingchen's eyes. The shopkeeper can use the soul as blood here, and the spirit as flesh, to reconstruct the meridians. Zhao Zilong gave a faint smile and clenched his right hand sharply in the air. Countless sounds filled the inner chamber. Within this blood-colored world, one towering colossal creature after another emerged from the ground. The monsters stood nearly 10 feet tall. Each one had a unique and distinct appearance. Some resembled misshapen human forms with crooked mouths and eyes. Some twisted together like serpents resembling tangled intestines. There were even some that Gu Qingchen couldn't describe at all. They were truly grotesque and bizarre beyond words. The only thing they had in common was the identical circular wounds on their bodies, marks that looked like they were pierced by sharp weapons. Each strike was fatal. These are the souls of ancient demons I once slew. It still contains a significant amount of ancient spiritual energy, perfectly suited for the shopkeeper to temper their flesh and meridians. Zhao Zilong spoke with a calm demeanor. As soon as his words fell, a bizarre statue of Buddha with massive tentacles on its head came crashing heavily toward Gu Qingchen. Gu Qingchen didn't dare to let his guard down. A peach blossom branch appeared in his hand. As the peach blossom branch was held in hand for a fleeting moment, Gu Qingchen seemed to merge with the blood-filled aura of the world around him, becoming one with the sea of blood, transforming into a vast ocean of crimson. His eyes were stained red with an overwhelming intent to kill. He unleashed a single sword strike. The sea of blood fueled by his killing intent instantly turned the monster before him into a pool of blackened debris. Gu Qingchen had no time to react. A wisp of illusory blood mist could be seen, emerging from the monster's body and piercing into my body with the force of an arrow. Immediately after, a surge of warmth enveloped my entire body, making me feel as if I were immersed in a soothing hot spring. Then, I felt my energy rising steadily. My meridians are truly growing stronger. Not only that, but my martial arts realm is advancing as well. A flicker of surprise once again flashed across Gu Qingchen's face. At this moment, he gazed at the vast swarm of bizarre creatures before him. His mindset had undergone a subtle shift. Sha Guqing let out a thunderous roar. With overwhelming killing intent, he charged fiercely into the horde of monsters. Chunks of flesh and blood filled the air, mingling together. In the training grounds of the prestigious Yin family, one of the top noble houses in Dragon City, a young man with a physique as imposing as a small mountain was lifting a massive block of iron with his bare hands. The young man was dressed in a school uniform. The words Lungdu University on the chest stand out prominently. In addition to that, on the words Lungdu University, there are 3 stars shining brightly. Lungdu University is one of the top 2 schools in the Grand Xiao Nation, tied in rank with Modu University, and the 3 stars also signify the identity of a Lungdu University student council member. Report, young master. There is the latest news about Miss Luo. Hearing the mention of Miss Luo's name, the sounds in the training ground abruptly came to a halt. The young man's eyes suddenly snapped open, fixing his gaze on the elderly man in front of him. His eyes lit up with an almost obsessive glow. During today's blessing ceremony, Miss Luo, just like you, young master, successfully received the blessing of an SS Great Emperor level heroic soul. Upon hearing this news, the young man was momentarily stunned. A few seconds later, he burst into hearty laughter. An S-class blessing truly stands out. It's no wonder it can amaze someone like Yen Mingdeng, the woman I pursued for 3 entire years. Huang Lao mentioned my father the other day. Bring over the crimson flame sword, which was purchased with 1 billion coins. Set off immediately. I want to personally present this grand gift to my Yuli. Celebrate. A hint of anticipation flickered in Yen Mingdeng's eyes. At this moment, he wished he could fly straight from Longdu to Guangning. Upon hearing these words, old Huang's cloudy pupils suddenly trembled. His back was instantly drenched in sweat. The scarlet flamed sword was a divine weapon obtained by the Yan family patriarch, acquired at the cost of 100 million Huaxia currency. It might not shake the foundation of the Yan family, but it would definitely be considered a massive expense. If it were really given away by the young master as a gift, the Lord was undoubtedly furious. The young master's scarlet flame sword. It's one of the Lord's favorite collectibles over the years. Why don't we make a trade? Before he could finish speaking, Yan Mingdang rudely interrupted him. Trade what, exactly? His son is just courting a girl. What's wrong with using a bit of his stuff? Besides, in recent years, apart from training, I've hardly ever used any family resources. That old wall lamp of his should have given me some coins by now. Yan Mingdang looked completely justified, as if it was only natural. Huang Lao wiped the sweat off his face. There was a hint of hesitation on his face. Oh right, young master, there's one more thing about Miss Luo. I'm not sure if I should say it. Talking about Yuli's matters is the same as talking about mine. Yan Mingdang made a sweeping gesture with his hand, beaming with a bright smile. Miss Luo had just received a blessing when she was suddenly kissed by a student from the Qi Si realm. Wait, hold on. What did you just say? Yan Mingdang's burly figure froze instantly. The smile on his face stiffened. The goddess he had pursued for years was kissed by someone else. Despite all his years of effort, the goddess hadn't even spoken to him properly. After a few moments of silence, Chao Yanmingdang's muscles bulged like a towering mountain. He slammed his fists forcefully onto the ground. In an instant, smoke and dust filled the air. 2 deep pits, each about 3 meters wide, appeared on the ground. Yanmingdang's eyes seemed to lose their luster at that moment. His face turned an ominous shade of dark purple. Through gritted teeth, he growled to send all the information about that planting to my phone before the day is over. Also, get me the earliest flight to Guangling tomorrow. Inside the Luo family bedroom in Guangling City, Luo Yuli was dressed in a purple robe-style nightgown. Her petite and delicate feet rested on the cold floor. Her nearly flawless figure was fully revealed. At this moment, her exquisitely shaped brows were slightly furrowed. And beside her, there were shimmering lights glowing in a spectrum of colors, dazzling and captivating. A radiance of 5 different colors, gently revolving around Luo Yuli as the center. An SS-level blessing grants mastery over elements. What is referred to as controlling elements refers to the 5 foundational elements of all things. Mastering elements is the ability to manipulate the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It's worth noting that elemental blessings are already quite rare. Almost all elemental blessings are of even higher levels. Yet the blessing Luo Yuli received amazingly enables him to control all 5 elements at once. But this isn't even the most terrifying aspect of this SS-level blessing. The 5 elements mutually reinforce and counteract one another, while simultaneously mastering the 5 primal elements. This also signifies that, as long as he can grow steadily, he will have no weaknesses whatsoever, and he will be able to effortlessly detect every flaw in his enemies, finally capable of mastering all 5 elements at once. When he had just received the blessing earlier, it was so incredibly difficult to control. Thinking back to that moment during the blessing ceremony, a blush once again spread across Luo Yuli's face. The soft sensation still lingers vividly in her memory. Luo Yuli, what are you thinking about? He suddenly threw himself onto the bed, covering his flushed face with the blanket. His feet kicked playfully on the bed like a little girl. Memories kept swirling and tumbling in his mind. In today's video, that young boy stood firmly in front of her to shield her. His figure overlaps with the boy from years ago in the alley, blending into one. Luo Yuli doesn't even understand why she ended up fleeing today, or why every time she faces him, she can never bring herself to speak. Luo Yuli is about to graduate soon. You can't keep running away. So many years have passed. You have grown much stronger. Now, you are capable of protecting him as well. He clenched his small fists tightly. A hint of determination emerged on his delicate face. Just as Luo Yuli was cheering himself on, the bedroom door was suddenly knocked on. Immediately after, Luo Tianheng's voice came from outside. Yuli, tomorrow, the chief director of the evil tribunal is coming to Guangming for an inspection. You can accompany me. Ask him to give you some guidance on your martial arts training. It was unmistakably Luo Tianheng's voice that was heard. Luo Yuli's tone suddenly turned icy cold. Not going? Luo Tianheng let out a sigh. His tone was filled with regret. The chief director himself even went out of his way to invite your classmate Gu. I thought you two had a pretty good relationship. After a few seconds of silence, the time and place, the sound in the bedroom remained cold and detached. But at this moment, it became somewhat hurried. Tomorrow at noon, 12 o'clock. Yue Tower concluded its statement. Luo Tianheng left with a smile on his face. A few hours earlier, he received the news. The director of the demonic tribunal had an unexpected matter to attend to. Their arrival in Guangling tomorrow would be delayed by 1 hour, meaning they would arrive at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. He informed Luo Yuli and the principal precisely at 12 o'clock. This move of his managed to avoid being unsightly. The temple of the divine spirits. Countless indistinct pieces of flesh were scattered across the land. The stench was overwhelming. The monster's severed limbs were visible everywhere. Gu Qingchen was covered in blood. His body was utterly exhausted. Yet his eyes revealed an unprecedented excitement. During the battle with the monster, he could distinctly feel his body continuously recovering, and his cultivation was increasing at an explosive pace. The spiritual energy concentration of ancient times was indeed vastly different from what it is now. Gu Qingchen couldn't help but marvel. These twisted creatures were merely fragments of a soul, and the residual spiritual energy of the world within them had been diluted over tens of thousands of years. Yet even so, the spiritual energy emanating from these monsters still far exceeded Gu Qingchen's expectations. He went on to slay more than 10 additional monsters. At this moment, he was already feeling uncomfortable from the overwhelming spiritual energy radiating from his body. It was as if he had reached a bottleneck. Could it be that he was about to break through to the warrior realm? But he had only recently advanced to the Qi-Si realm. This kind of cultivation speed seemed almost too unbelievable. Gu Qingchen was a bit confused. Outside the divine hall, the battle was nearing its conclusion. When Gu Qingchen used his sword energy to pierce through the final monster, Zhao Zilong, clad in silver armor, reappeared at his side and cupped his hands to congratulate the temple master for passing the first level of the demonic trial grounds. This is only the first level. Gu Qingchen raised an eyebrow. It seemed like he had figured out the doubts in Gu Qingchen's mind. Zhao Zilong explained that the demonic trial ground consists of 3 levels. Clearing each level grants a different reward. When the shopkeeper successfully passes the first 2 levels and fully restores their meridians, I will unlock the 3rd level of the demonic trial ground for the shopkeeper, which is the true trial this time. The reward for the first level is a baptism of flesh and blood. It strengthens and refines the physical body. The infusion of spiritual energy. As he spoke, Zhao Zilong placed his hand on Gu Qingcheng's shoulder. A faint glow immediately enveloped Gu Qingcheng. The moment the glow descended, Gu Qingcheng felt all the exhaustion in her body vanish completely. It disappeared without a trace in an instant. What's more, a potent energy spread throughout her limbs. Unlike the red spiritual energy within the monsters, the fluorescence passing through the body brought a chilling sensation. Yet, Gu Qingchen's entire body surged with boiling blood and energy. The sea of energy, stained crimson by the blood-red Tao rhythm, kept spinning endlessly. A vast and overwhelming aura filled every part of his body completely. After breaking through the warrior realm, the fluorescence on Gu Qingchen's body showed no sign of fading. It continued to flow freely across his body. The first level of the mid-stage warrior realm, the second level of the warrior realm, the third rank of the martial artist realm, the 9th rank of the martial artist realm. Gu Qingchen's aura kept climbing steadily upward. In the end, Gu Qingchen forcibly suppressed it at the peak of the martial artist realm, just half a step away from the extraordinary 3rd realm. Abundant spiritual energy continued to surround Gu Qingchen. If he wished, he could even break through to the transcendent realm right now. However, Gu Qingchen managed to suppress this impulse. After all, breaking through 2 levels in a single night is extraordinary. Yet here he was, already at the peak of the martial artist realm. Gu Qingchen could feel the abundant spiritual energy surging within him. It almost made him question his own reality. Within just a single day, he had gone from entering the Qi-Si realm to directly reaching the peak of the martial artist realm. nearly crossing two major realms in the process. The gods within the divine hall were truly terrifying beyond imagination. The rewards on the first level are already this extravagant. I can't imagine what rewards the second and third levels might offer. I wonder what kind of rewards they will have for me. Gu Qingchang gazed in the direction where Zhao Zilong had disappeared. Her eyes were filled with intense determination. The trial period has come to an end. The main hall of the Temple of the Gods has now been opened for the shopkeeper. Each cooldown period lasts 12 hours. Once the cooldown ends, the shopkeeper can freely enter and exit the Temple of the Gods at will. The system's notification sound suddenly came through. Right after that, Gu Qingcheng felt that everything in front of him started spinning around. A wave of dizziness completely overtook his mind. When he opened his eyes again, he realized he was already back in his bedroom. By then, it was already the next morning. Sunlight streamed into the room through the windows. Gu Qingcheng stood in front of the mirror and gave himself a once-over. Tried to adjust my breathing again. Strangely, there were no bloodstains on the clothes. There were also no wounds from fighting the creature on my body. But my cultivation level had indeed reached the peak of the warrior realm. If that's the case, only my consciousness went to the divine hall, and the rewards my consciousness gained would directly manifest in the real world. Interesting, it's a bit like playing a video game. Gu Qingchen nodded thoughtfully, picked up the phone next to him and unlocked it. Turned on the screen. It showed a large cluster of red dot notifications. 58 missed calls. All of them were from the principal. Gu Qingchen was momentarily stunned. Oh right. Today, the head of the Demon Tribunal specifically came to Guangling to invite him out for a meal. The time appears to be around 12 o'clock. What time is it again? Gu Qingcheng glanced at the top right corner of her phone. She let out a sigh of relief. It is exactly 11 o'clock now. Her home isn't too far from Yingyue Tower. If biking, it would take no more than 20 minutes to get there. It seems she can still make it in time. Gu Qingcheng first replied to the principal's message. Then she quickly washed her face. After changing into a different outfit, he quickly headed downstairs. He found the bike he had been riding for 3 years in the bike shed. It was already a bit old and worn out. He started pedaling toward the direction of Yingyue Tower. 20 minutes later, a towering skyscraper came into Gu Qingchen's view. The impressive structure appeared before his eyes. It was a classic building, featuring an ancient architectural style, with a traditional and elegant interior design. It embodies the essence of understated luxury. The Moonlit Pavilion is the most luxurious restaurant in Guangling City. It is notably renowned throughout the entire Luoyang province. It has already become a signature restaurant of Guangling City. Of course, its prices are exceptionally high. Gu Qingchen had somehow heard about it before. Reserving the entire Moonlit Pavilion costs nearly 1 million huaxia currency for just 1 day. Outside the grand main entrance of the Moonlit Pavilion, countless flashy luxury cars are parked nearby. It further highlights the extraordinary nature of this restaurant. Gu Qingchen parked his bicycle next to an extended Rolls-Royce, secured the lock, and headed into Yingyue Tower. At the main entrance of Yingyue Tower stood 2 female receptionists dressed in black silk cheongsams. One of them appeared slightly inexperienced, with delicate features, exuding the vibe of a refined young lady from a prominent family, while the other seemed more mature. Every movement exudes a distinctive charm. Watching Gu Qingchen riding an old, worn-out bicycle. 2 female receptionists exchanged curious and puzzled glances. The young man before them had strikingly handsome features, but looked no older than a high school student, and was even riding a bicycle, which made it hard to imagine he came to dine at Yingyue Pavilion. Sir, we apologize for the inconvenience, but Yingyue Pavilion has been fully reserved for a private event today. We do not accommodate other guests. Though they were puzzled in their hearts, they still kept a smile on their faces. At the same time, they apologized to Gu Qingchen. They had encountered plenty of wealthy individuals. Riding a bicycle didn't signify anything special. Previously, he had even seen someone arrive on an electric toy car for dining. I was invited here as a guest. My name is Gu Qingchen. Could you both please verify this? Gu Qingchen's face held a smile as warm and refreshing as a spring breeze. A trace of suspicion flickered once again in the mature woman's eyes. As far as he knew, the entire Yingyue Tower was reserved for today, by a figure with an incredibly intimidating status. This powerful individual went out of their way to invite a mysterious guest to the banquet. Even the chief executive of Guangling City was not among those invited by this prominent figure. This has nothing to do with what looks like a teenager still in high school. It seems entirely unrelated to a boy who appears to still be in high school. It doesn't seem connected to a young man who looks like he's still in high school. Alright, please hold on for a moment. The mature woman slightly furrowed her brows, almost imperceptibly. Yet, she still nodded her head lightly. She stepped into the music building to make a call to the manager. While waiting, another slightly inexperienced female receptionist kept sneaking glances at Gu Qingchen from time to time. She felt her cheeks growing warm. The young man in front of her was almost too strikingly handsome. There was even a hint of gloominess in his expression. Being able to book the entire Ingyue pavilion. Could he be the heir of some prestigious family? He let his mind wander with wild thoughts. Before long, a man dressed in a suit hurriedly walked out of Ingyue pavilion. His face was filled with a beaming smile. Mr. Gu, I am the manager of Ingyue Tower. Just call me Xiao Chen. You are our honored guest today. The main hall is this way. Please follow me. Walking right behind him, the smile on the mature woman's face had started to lose its sincerity. This boy, who looks like he's just in high school, turned out to actually be the honored guest invited by the big shot. Mr. Gu, this is the best spot in Ingyue Tower. Please have a seat and feel free to call me if you need anything. I won't disturb you any further. Manager Chen bent at a 90-degree angle and gave a bow. He was just about to step back. Wait, what are your signature dishes here? Just bring me something random for now. Listening to the constant growling stomach since waking up, Gu Qingcheng finally spoke up. Since the blessing ceremony yesterday morning, Gu Qingcheng had only eaten 2 steamed buns last night. This morning, even managed to advance directly from the Qi Si stage to its peak. Although martial artists consume the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to break through, it undoubtedly also requires a significant amount of physical strength. In summary, Gu Qingchen now feels so hungry that his stomach seems to be glued to his back. Mr. Gu, are you certain you want the dishes served now? Manager Chen bent down cautiously and respectfully asked. The others in Ingyue Tower might not know, but he definitely does. The identity of the person who reserved the entire Ingyue Tower today. That person is none other than the chief director of the Tribunal of Dark Forces, an individual whose status and power are second only to the 4 great martial gods. A figure who is practically unmatched in both rank and strength in the entire Great Xia. The director hasn't even arrived yet, and this young man has dared to suggest that he should go ahead and dine first. Just who is this young man, really? Manager Chen kept speculating in his mind. Hurry up, I'm starving. Gu Qingchen nodded slightly. There was a slightly bitter expression on his face. Before long, plates of meticulously prepared dishes were placed one after another in front of Gu Qingchen. The aroma of the food filled the air. Gu Qingchen couldn't help but swallow instinctively. He picked up his chopsticks and began devouring the food. Just as Gu Qingchen was indulging in the feast, a sudden commotion arose outside Ingyue Tower. Sir, my apologies. Ingyue Tower has been reserved for a private event today. Only a select few distinguished guests are allowed inside. No one else is permitted to enter. What kind of distinguished guests could possibly outrank the status of the eldest son of the Yin family? Hold on, sir. You are not allowed to go in. Security, where is security? The noise kept growing louder. About a minute later, a burly man with a robust build barged into Ingyue Tower despite being stopped. His face was broad and menacing, yet his physique was exceptionally muscular. The bulky muscles on his body were clearly visible through his clothes. Behind him was an elderly man with a head full of white hair, with a gaunt and withered appearance, emitting an aura of intimidation. Mr. Yen, trust me, today is really not possible. I'm doing this for your benefit. Manager Chen was sweating profusely in panic. He reached out, trying to stop the man from moving forward. But the man was simply too tall and burly. Manager Chen's symbolic attempt to block him was almost completely ignored. The man glanced around the room. He let out a cold snort at Manager Chen. Don't worry, I'm not here to cause trouble for your establishment today. I'm here to take care of some business. Once the task is done, I'll naturally leave. If you let me finish sooner, I'll naturally leave earlier. As he spoke, the man scanned the entire Ingyue Tower. Drawing strength from his diaphragm, he shouted at the top of his lungs. Gu Qingchen, Get out here now. His roar turned into waves of powerful sound, covering the entire Inoue building. The chandelier above was swaying precariously. The entire building began to tremble slightly. Who the heck is barking like a dog? Ruining my appetite. Gu Qingchen had a piece of dompa pork in his mouth. He stood up with a hint of confusion, looking at the burly man below. So, you're Gu Qingchen? Yan Mingdang's gaze was firmly locked onto Gu Qingchen. A faint smirk appeared on his face. Gu Qingchen's brows furrowed slightly. In his memory, there was no recollection of this person at all. He swallowed the dompa pork in his mouth. Gu Qingchen spoke calmly. If not you, then who? Gu Qingchen sized up the two people below. The young man exuded a powerful aura. It seemed he had stepped into the extraordinary realm some time ago, carrying an unmistakable sense of hostility, malice. The aura emanating from the elderly man behind him was even more terrifying. I am Gu Qingchen. If you have something to say, just say it. If not, then leave. Don't interrupt me while I'm eating. Gu Qingchen stared below with a hint of impatience. Even though he had never met these two individuals before, he could sense the hostility coming from them. Gu Qingchen naturally didn't hesitate to share the meal with him. Gu Qingchen, do you even know who's standing in front of you? I am Yan Mingdang, from one of the most prestigious families in Longdu. My father is one of the 12 generals. And I'm also a member of the student council at Longdu University. Oh, by the way, in case a country bumpkin like you doesn't know, let me fill you in. Longdu University is one of the 2 best universities in Daxia. Last year's college entrance exam cutoff score was among the top 1%. It's probably out of reach for a high schooler who's just stepped into the Qi realm like you. Something you wouldn't even dare to dream of. Announcing a series of impressive titles, Yan Mingdang stared at Gu Qingchen with a provocative look, as if trying to find a hint in Gu Qingchen's eyes of shock and fear. But unexpectedly, Gu Qingchen looked at Yan Mingdang like he was an idiot, and spat out a piece of chicken bone from his mouth. Not my problem. Yan Mingdang froze in disbelief. It was clear he didn't expect this kind of reaction after announcing his name. Gu Qingchen's response remained unchanged. Normally, as soon as he mentioned his family's powerful reputation, not just in a small place like Guangling, but even in the highly competitive Longdu, he could act with absolute confidence. He felt a bit displeased. Frowning slightly, his tone suddenly became stern. Let me ask you, what did you do yesterday during the blessing ceremony of the Spirit of Heroes? What exactly did I do during the blessing ceremony? Gu Qingchen froze for a moment. I forcibly kissed Luo Yuli during the blessing ceremony. This person is one of Luo Yuli's many admirers. Because I forcibly kissed Luo Yuli, he's here to cause trouble for me. Gu Qingchen suddenly realized. I've long heard Xiaya mention. A young master from a prestigious family in Longdu kept pestering Luo Yuli for 3 years. Just like a clingy stray dog. No matter what, couldn't be driven away. So it was him all along. You are the clingy stray dog who bothered Luo Yuli for 3 years? This comment seemed to hit a nerve with Yan Mingdang. His face suddenly twisted in anger. Clingy stray dog, I'll give you one chance. Take back what you just said. Now, go kneel in front of the rainforest and admit your mistakes. I'll pretend nothing happened yesterday. Otherwise, you can forget about walking out of this music hall in one piece today. At this moment, Yan Mingdang was exuding an intense and menacing aura. He seemed like a powder keg ready to explode at any moment. I'll give you one last chance as well. Leave immediately, and you'll be able to leave here unharmed. Gu Qingchen responded with a calm expression. Give me a chance. You alone think you can. Yan Mingdang of the Qi realm laughed loudly. It was as if he had heard the most ridiculous joke. From the day I was born until now, other than my father, no one has ever dared to talk to me like this, daring to lay a finger on my goddess. If I don't break a few of your ribs today, then I might as well not be named Yan. A terrifying light suddenly erupted in Yan Mingdang's eyes. His body began to expand. He was already towering in size, and his height kept increasing. It seemed as if he was about to reach the ceiling of Inoue Tower, resembling an enormous Buddha statue, an S-rank blessed flesh Buddha. It is said to originate from ancient times, when ascetic Buddhist monks focused on mastering their physical bodies. He refined his flesh and blood to perfection, ultimately achieving the state of the flesh Buddha. Possessing this bestowed blessing, as long as one continuously hones their physical body, their martial arts level will advance alongside the strength of their body. progressing without end. The truly terrifying aspect of this S-rank blessing lies in the fact that, when the blessed individual steps into the realm of the martial god, their physical body will instantly transcend into a Buddha-like form, becoming immortal and indestructible, capable of regenerating from a single drop of blood. Its resilience can only be described as terrifying, unless every trace is instantly erased. As long as even a sliver of flesh remains, the flesh Buddha can immediately regenerate the blessed one. Yan Ningdang raised his right hand and prepared to aim at Gu Qingchen. Struck down. Gu Qingchen remained calm and composed. He picked up a chopstick from the table and infused it with a trace of Tao essence. Just as Yan Ningdang was about to strike with his palm, the temperature inside Yingyue Tower seemed to drop by dozens of degrees in an instant. Yan Ningdang's massive palm had unknowingly been covered with a thick layer of frost, and a notification sound from the system echoed in Gu Qingchen's ears. Detected trial-related characters appearing near the shopkeeper. The Peach Blossom Sword Deity prompt has triggered a hidden trial. Forcefully kissed the campus belle Luo Uni once again. Rewards after completing the trial include a celestial phenomenon. The two, poised for confrontation, suddenly froze in surprise. Immediately afterward, a cool and calm voice echoed from the entrance of Yingyue Pavilion. Yan Ningdang, what are you doing outside the Yingyue Pavilion? A graceful figure stepped inside, her long legs moving elegantly. Today, Luo Yuli was dressed in an ice blue gown. It looked as though she had taken great care in her appearance. She resembled a celestial being descending from the heavens. Her facial features were delicate and flawless. Her skin was as fair as freshly fallen snow, like a flawless piece of artwork. Yan Ningdang couldn't help but stare in a bit of a daze. But at this moment, Luo Yuli's brows were deeply furrowed. His gaze was as cold as the depths of winter. Yuli, how did you know I was here? After all these years. This is the first time you've actively sought me out in all this time. So you still have me in your heart after all. Yan Ningdang snapped back to reality, looking at Luo Yuli standing in the doorway, overcome with excitement in an instant. The smile on his face was almost impossible to contain. Come on, Mr. Huang. Bring out the grand gift I prepared for Yuli. Looking at Yan Ningdang, who was overjoyed in front of him, Mr. Huang nodded with a bit of helplessness. He pulled out a long, rectangular box from behind him. He opened the box. Inside lay a crimson sword. As soon as the scarlet flame sword appeared, the red glow of the flames instantly illuminated the surrounding walls. Even the air in this space seemed to grow a bit scorching. This is something my father spent a full 100 million on just a couple of days ago. He made a major purchase at the Heavenly Tao auction house, acquiring a treasure of the heavenly tier. It happens to belong to the primary elemental fire category, and it pairs perfectly with your blessing. Yan Ningdang wore a flattering smile on his face as he handed the crimson flame sword to Luo Yuli. This is a heavenly tier artifact. Moonlit Tower. All the staff present widened their eyes in astonishment. The treasures of Sky Street are the finest quality treasures in the entire building? Due to their rarity, the annual transaction volume for the entire building does not exceed 10 items, and the prices are shockingly exorbitant. Authentic items from Sky Street were given away as if it were nothing. The two female receptionists at the entrance. His gaze was intensely fixed on the sword in Yan Ningdang's hand. The expression directed at Luo Yuli was filled with envy. The price of this sword alone could easily purchase the entire Yingyue Tower. Even Gu Qingcheng had a flicker of unusual emotion in her eyes. It's hard to believe someone could go to such extremes to win favor. Looking at the heavenly tier fire element sword before him, Luo Yuli's eyes, however, revealed a trace of disdain. Yan Ningdang, I've told you this countless times before. Stop bothering me. How many more times do you need me to repeat it? With that, he leapt and landed right next to Gu Qingchen. The icy look in his eyes completely melted away. Her big, bright eyes were filled with deep concern. Gu, are you hurt? I'm fine, Gu Qingchen shook her head. Sorry for causing you trouble. Luo Yuli's tone was filled with apology. He glanced at Gu Qingchen's face. Blushing slightly, he spoke softly. Classmate Gu, please act in a scene with me later. Feeling the warm breath brushing against his ear, Gu Qingchen felt as if a tingling current coursed through his body. While acting, a couple of question marks popped up in Gu Qingchen's mind. This guy is really persistent, but his skills are undeniably impressive. Right now, I can't match him just yet. We need to find a way to make him leave. I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend. Let's get him out of the way first. Is that okay? Rain asked nervously. It seemed like she was afraid Gu Qingchen might say no. Of course I can. Gu Qingchen accepted without hesitation. She was still trying to figure out what kind of excuse to use this time to complete the trial. Unexpectedly, the excuse presented itself. Gu Qingchen felt a wave of joy in her heart. Seeing Gu Qingchen nod in agreement, Luo Yuli's delicate face turned slightly red. Immediately, Gu Qingchen felt a small hand slip into her own hand. The small hand was cold yet smooth. It felt as soft and fine as jade. Gu Qingchen couldn't help but extend her finger to gently tickle the palm of the small hand. Watching Luo Yuli walk over to Gu Qingchen's side, Yan Mingdang froze on the spot. It seemed she hadn't expected that. When she saw Luo Yuli leaning closely to whisper in Gu Qingchen's ear and holding her hand at the same time, her expression finally started to shift unpredictably. Yuli, what is the meaning of this? Luo Yuli silently tightened her grip on Gu Qingchen's hand. She looked at Yan Mingdang and said in a calm voice, I've told you many times before, stop calling me Yuli. Don't even try to come near me. I don't want to see you. Second, I am in a relationship with Gu. Whatever the two of us do has nothing to do with you. Yuli, are you joking right now? Stop messing with me. You and him are a couple. Yan Mingdang had a scornful look on his face as he spoke. I've looked into this guy's background. He's almost 18. Just barely managed to break through the Qi realm. An absolute good for nothing. I am Yan Mingdang. Speaking of strength and family background, aside from his looks, what does he have that I don't? Useless Yuli. I know you're testing me, trying to make me give up, but I, Yan Mingdang, won't fall for it. Hearing Yan Mingdang's self-righteous remarks, Luo Yuli's delicate face suddenly turned icy. Gu Qingchen's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, this imagination is absolutely off the charts. No wonder he managed to bother Luo Yuli for 3 whole years. Even Fei Yang meeting you would probably hand you a cigarette out of respect. Some people just won't accept reality until it's staring them in the face. If you don't believe it, then this should make you convinced. Watch closely, I'm only showing this once. Gu Qingchen let out a soft chuckle. He firmly turned Luo Yuli's head toward him. Under Luo Yuli's wide, startled gaze, like that of a frightened deer, he slowly pressed his lips against hers. Luo Yuli gave a token struggle. Her large, lake-blue eyes began to glisten with a hazy layer of moisture, and she softly leaned into Gu Qingchen's embrace. Her face flushed as red as a ripe apple. The warmth of her breath enveloped them completely. Unlike the first time when there was a rush to complete the task, feeling the touch of Luo Yuli's lips, as delicate as cicada wings, soft and warm to the touch, Gu Qingchen found himself irresistibly lost in the moment. The trial has been completed. Rewards are being distributed. Phenomena in heaven and earth. Unusual occurrences in the natural world. Whenever the shopkeeper wields the dear god's swordsmanship, it triggers extraordinary phenomena in heaven and earth. The trial is over. Gu Qingchen still held Luo Yuli in his hands. A flawless face. Unwilling to let go for a long time. For some reason, Gu Qingchen felt a hint of gratitude in his heart. Surprisingly, he was thankful to this noble family scion. Watching the scene before him, Yan Mingdang staggered back several steps as if struck by cannon fire. His towering frame quickly shrank back to its original size, sat on the ground in a dejected manner like a child, muttering incessantly under his breath, saying, "No, this can't be real. How could it not be? I refuse to believe this is an illusion." The illusion followed immediately. His breath suddenly weakened. The energy within him swayed like a small boat in massive waves, tossed up and down uncontrollably. A mouthful of blood surged out uncontrollably. Behind Yan Mingdang, Huang Lao's cloudy eyes suddenly widened. His cultivation regressed. His aura weakened significantly. This is a sign of a shattered martial heart. How could this happen, Yan Mingdang? He is an SS-level prodigy rarely seen in Great Xia in years, and the heir to the position of patriarch of the Xia family. Even more crucially, because of the unique nature of this SS-level blessing, he has a significant chance to advance to the martial god realm. And now, as the head of the Xia family and one of the 12 imperial generals, he is merely at the latter stage of the 6th realm king. It can be said that Yan Ming Lantern is the sole hope for the entire Xia family. Old Huang could never have imagined that Yan Ming Lantern would shatter his Dao heart because of a woman like this. and his determination was completely broken. This time, he followed along. Serves more as a protector. Initially thought it was just harmless scuffling among youngsters. Never expected it would result in such a serious consequence. A troubled mind becomes its own ailment. Inner demons take root within. There is no cure for it. Once it shatters completely, the path of martial arts comes to an end. To heal it, one must either use unmatched power to suppress the emotions. The only option is to confront and overcome the inner demons. Thinking of this, a trace of determination flashed in Huang Lao's eyes. Since the young master's inner demons stem from those two individuals, then ending their lives would naturally resolve the inner turmoil. As for any punishment I may face afterward, it would have nothing to do with the young master. Huang Lao stepped out from behind Yan Mingdang and spoke in a hoarse voice. Logically speaking, matters between the younger generation are not something I should interfere with. But for the future of the Xia family, I regret that I have no choice but to act this way. He slowly extended a hand. An overwhelming sense of dread began to spread. Every wine glass and bottle inside the moonlit pavilion shattered into countless pieces with a loud crash, scattering fragments all over the floor. Go Qingshan felt the hair on the back of his neck stand on end. He could clearly see that he and Luo Yuli had already been targeted by the two waves of killing intent emanating from the old man. He quickly shielded Luo Yuli behind him, picked up a chopstick from the table, and pointed it at the old man in front of him. The dear God sword emerged. Heaven and man marched toward their doom. The divine spirit fell. In an instant, the killing intent in the world seemed to center around the young man, rushing toward him with unrelenting fury. The young man's pupils glowed blood red, yet his expression remained incredibly indifferent. His murderous intent was crystal clear. The once blazing midday sky now appeared shrouded in a heavy gloom. The surroundings turned impossibly dark. A crimson moon split through the ominous haze. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting its glow on the young man. The young man stood there, resembling a god of war. The staff of the moonlit pavilion huddled in the corner, trembling with fear. They stared at the scene unfolding before their eyes. Cold sweat ran down their faces like a stream. Even the slightest movement could lead to being torn apart by this sharp killing intent. It feels like this sharp killing intent would shred everything in its path. Is this a domain of power or the ultimate path of slaughter? You're merely in your teens. How could you possibly grasp the ultimate domain of power? Huang Lao felt as if his mind had been struck by a violent shock. He could only feel an endless chill rise from the soles of his feet. In an instant, it spread throughout his entire body. Gu Qingchen raised his hand slightly. An endless sea of crimson blood surged forth. Countless divine corpses swayed and floated within the sea of blood. At this moment, Gu Qingchen also fully understood the specific meaning of the reward's heavenly phenomenon, which was entirely different from the last time. In the surging sea of blood, one deity after another who had already perished suddenly opened their eyes, staring intently at Huang Lao. The dismissal at Guangling Airport. Are you certain, Principal? Realizing that the person truly was a senior high school student, the man was dressed plainly, wearing a crimson mask on his face, holding a rusted, scarlet long blade without a sheath, carried on his back. The man spoke. Though his tone was calm, you could still detect a hint of disbelief in his voice. Behind him was Luo Tianheng with his bright red hair. The two walked out of the airport together. Director Yen, it is absolutely true. I was present at the scene at the time. It is indeed an ultimate killing technique. Director Yen nodded slightly, but his steps suddenly came to a halt. He slowly lifted his head. A crimson blood-red orb hung in the sky. At some point, it had already replaced the sun, suspended high above. Whoa, look at the sky. Isn't it supposed to be noon? Why is the moon out already? Just like yesterday morning. A blood moon is far from being a good omen. It has already been 2 consecutive days. The blood moon hangs high in the sky. Could something bad be about to happen in Guangling? Staring at the crimson crescent in the sky, the passers-by looked visibly alarmed. They seemed a bit at a loss. Gathering together, they murmured nervously about the blood moon. Yan Yiling fixed his gaze on the crescent in the sky. His pupils trembled slightly. This felt similar to the murderous intent he sensed yesterday. Yet there was something distinctly different about it. Wherever the crimson moonlight shone, the intense murderous aura seemed to come alive, sharp as a blade. It left people feeling suffocated. The young man who had mastered the path of slaughter. Could it be that he has discovered something new again? His gaze turned toward the direction of the moon reflection tower. The distance beneath his feet suddenly warped and shrank. Taking a single step is like covering a distance of 1 kilometer. He stepped into the void, leaving Luo Tianhe staring at the sky in utter confusion, and headed straight for the Inuit pavilion. Inside the Inuit pavilion, Gu Qingchen held up his chopsticks, with murderous intent soaring to the heavens, as a turbulent sea of blood churned beside him. Within the sea of blood, the shattered heads of gods and demons emerged from the surface of the sea. Opening its eyes, it fixed a cold, emotionless gaze on Huang Lao. These piercing gazes felt like needles stabbing into Huang Lao. At this moment, Huang Lao felt as though he had fallen into an icy abyss. In the rain, he stared at the young man before him who seemed like a demonic lord. He felt as though the strings of his heart were being struck again and again. A chaotic fluttering overtook him, like a deer startled and disoriented. Leave or die. Gu Qingchen's gaze was cold and unwavering at this moment. He spoke with an air of command, delivering his words like an order. Reckless child. No matter how strong your fate may be, you're still just at the warrior level. Did you really think I would yield? A touch of admiration appeared on Elder Huang's face. He suppressed the chilling sensation on his body. The overwhelming energy of a grandmaster suddenly erupted from his body, transforming into a massive cyan palm, sweeping toward Bu Qingchen. To comprehend the supreme path at such a young age, this child must not be allowed to remain. Watching the massive azure palm pressing toward him, Gu Qingchen's eyes narrowed sharply. His right hand gently lifted. A boundless sea of blood was about to descend. Suddenly, a figure swept in with howling winds. Stepping into the moonlit pavilion, the massive azure palm condensed by old Huang abruptly shattered. His entire body plummeted like a bird with broken wings, propelled backward through the air, crashing into countless tables and chairs in the hall, finally slamming heavily into the ornate wall. A large amount of bricks and debris fell down, burying Huang Lao's thin frame beneath the rubble. The scene became eerily silent for a moment. The staff of Inuit Tower stood frozen with stunned expressions, all staring in unison toward the collapsed wall, their faces filled with disbelief. That's the gateway to the Grandmaster realm. It just flew out effortlessly. Even Gu Qingchen didn't quite react in time. What exactly just happened? The clouds of dust gradually settled. A plainly dressed man walked into the area outside Inuit Tower. The man wore a scarlet mask on his face. A chilling aura surrounded him. Who could he possibly be? Gu Qingchen stood firm with his sword in hand, watching the mask with cautious eyes. A sea of blood churned beside the man. There was no killing intent directed at him from the man. Yet Gu Qingchen could sense the terrifying strength of this individual. Moreover, the aura emanating from this man was on an entirely different level compared to Elder Huang. The gaze behind the mask turned toward Gu Qingchen with interest, fixing on him with a curious intensity. Under the crimson moonlight, his body involuntarily trembled ever so slightly. Beneath the turbulent sea of blood, the killing intent was calm yet surging, sharp and unparalleled. Even the gaze seemed as though it could be crushed. He had never encountered a sense of righteousness so vast and overwhelming. Not even the 4 great martial gods had ever left him with such a profound sense of awe. The Salt Industry Command felt as if he were standing at the very center of the blood sea. The violent and unpredictable waves threatened to engulf his insignificant self at any moment. A sense of powerlessness spread throughout his body. There's no doubt about it. This is the ultimate way of slaughter. The vast ocean stretched endlessly, sweeping across the sea. The sleepless night left his pupils somewhat vacant, muttering to himself under his breath. At that moment, he felt as if he had unknowingly misunderstood something. Who are you to act in such a manner? Do you have any idea what you're doing? Helping this kid means going against the entire Yin family. You better think this through carefully. A hoarse cough echoed from beneath the rubble. Blood streamed from every orifice of the old man. His breathing was as weak as that of a small child. He was in a state of utter disarray. His gaze, filled with caution, was fixed on the man. The Yin family is truly something else. Now even a low-ranking figure is taking the lead. Has the family started to exploit their power to bully others? The man let out a cold laugh, and then continued speaking. Or is it that my title as the director no longer holds any intimidating weight? What kind of nonsense is a director anyway? Old Huan was left somewhat dazed. by the overwhelming aura from earlier. And for a moment, he couldn't process what was happening. It seems the director's building only has one. The Tribunal of Dark Forces. Wait, the Tribunal of Dark Forces. Oh no, are you Yen Ya? Lord Yen, Elder Huang's pupils trembled in shock. It felt like my mind was spinning in chaos. The terrifying presence of Yen Ye. How could he appear in this place at this exact moment? No wonder he could deal such a devastating blow with just one strike. Elder Huang hurriedly dropped to the ground, groveling like a frightened dog. His voice was filled with panic. "Spare me, my lord. It was my poor judgment. I humbly ask for your forgiveness for any offense caused. The person before me is known as a supreme-level powerhouse infamous for their bloodlust. His temper was unusually eccentric. During his time in the realm of the Monkey King, he once acted out of personal resentment, publicly killing 2 provincial governors. Over all these years, the number of lives lost at his hands is at least in the 6 figures. Because of this, he has earned the title of the God of Death. If you somehow manage to provoke his temper, he has no doubt that both he and the young master would meet their end at his hands." Yen Yili's gaze was icy cold, as he cast a glance at Yen Mingdang, who was slumped on the side, and scoffed, saying, "Go back. Tell the royal figure supporting your Yen family from behind the scenes. If it weren't for my good mood today, I completely dealt with Yen Mingdang, that guy. Take 10 minutes to catch your breath. Then bring along the young master of your Yen family. Get out of my sight. Oh, by the way, don't forget to compensate 10 times the total losses Moonlit Tower suffered today. If you dare short even a penny, I'll personally visit the Yen family tomorrow. Also, this one. Let's count it as compensation for Gu's emotional distress." Yen Yiling gently raised his hand. The crimson flame sword on the ground instantly shot upward, landing perfectly in his grasp. "No problem at all. As long as Master Yen is pleased." Hearing that Yen Yiling had no intention of troubling the two, Old Huang finally let out a sigh of relief. He sat down on the ground and began tending to his severe injuries. Meanwhile, Yen Mingdang stood silently nearby, timing unknown. The aura around him surprisingly steadied. His inner resolve was no longer shaken. This also allowed Mr. Huang to finally feel at ease, although today's incident caused quite a stir. Thankfully, the consequences were not too severe. Of course, that was just his personal opinion. After dealing with the 2 individuals, Yen Yi turned his head toward the boy's direction. He spoke in a friendly tone. "Hello, you must be student Gu, right? College entrance exams are just around the corner. Sorry to take up your time to come over here. I appreciate you giving me this honor. My name is Yen Yiling. I am the chief director of the Evil Tribunal. If you don't mind, you can just call me Uncle Yen." "Uncle Yen." Huang Lao suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This kind of seniority is truly extraordinary. Who exactly is this young man? To think he could make Yen Yiling, the feared warlord, treat him this way. Yen Yiling had a gentle smile on his face. He greeted Gu Qingchen warmly. "Uncle Yen, you can just call me Xiaobu." Gu Qingchen withdrew his aura of Dao. The surrounding phenomena dissipated completely. He nodded respectfully toward Yen Yiling. Yen Yiling gazed at the young man. A glimmer of admiration sparkled in his eyes. After the Dao's essence dissipated, the boy's gaze became even clearer and more penetrating. His pupils were filled with a sense of righteousness and vitality, sharp and intense beyond comparison. Yet not a trace of murderous intent could be found. Generally speaking, those who are bloodthirsty are often surrounded by a constant aura of killing intent. Their temperaments tend to be irritable and eccentric, which is considered normal, let alone a student who has comprehended the ultimate essence of slaughter. Yet this boy was entirely unaffected by his own killing aura. Such a clear and serene state of mind. Truly a natural prodigy in martial arts. Yen Yiling found himself marveling inwardly. "Hello, Uncle Yen. My name is Luo Yuli." By Gu Qingchen's side, Luo Yuli also greeted Yen Yiling politely. "I heard from your father on the way here that you have an SS-grade elemental blessing. Guanling City really is full of talented individuals this year. What a coincidence indeed. Who would have thought that this year, 2 prodigies from Guangling City would actually come together as a pair? It really seems they've formed quite the duo." Yiling glanced at the two with a smile, clearly showing a sense of admiration. "Uncle Yen, she's not a girlfriend yet." In the midst of the falling rain, she stole a quick glance at Gu Qingchen beside her with her beautiful eyes. Her face flushed as she spoke with a touch of shyness. Not a girlfriend yet? Oh, it seems I must have misunderstood. Looks like you still need to put in more effort, Xiao Gu. Yan Yiling patted Gu Qingcheng on the shoulder. A faintly peculiar smile appeared on his face. His gaze shifted downward. Feeling the weight of Yan Yiling's stare, the two instinctively followed his gaze downward. At the spot his gaze landed, the two of them were holding hands tightly. Luo Yuli instinctively wanted to pull her hand back, but realized she couldn't. Gu Qingcheng firmly held onto her small hand. He looked up in a bit of a panic, just in time to meet Gu Qingcheng's clear, bright eyes. Smiling as she blinked playfully at him, her stunningly beautiful face instantly flushed with redness. Luo Yuli could only feel the little deer in his heart thumping wildly. Thank you, Uncle Yan, for your concern. I'll do my best. Gu Qingcheng nodded in agreement, remarked with a rather serious tone. Students these days are truly fascinating. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. Little Gu, I came here today to discuss something important with you. Yan Yi laughed heartily for a while. Suddenly, his tone became a bit more serious. Uncle Yan, you mentioned this place is crowded and not very private. How about we talk in my office instead? Luo, you should come along as well. In the office, Gu Qingcheng appeared slightly stunned. This is the director of the demonic tribunal. His office should be located in Dragon City. The distance between Dragon City and Guangling is quite significant. Before Gu Qingcheng could react, Yan Yi, standing beside him, had already drawn the rusty red blade from behind him, and gently swung it toward the sky. In an instant, a fierce wind arose. It felt as if something in the void had been torn apart. A crack was ripped open in the space. The blessing of spatial magic. One of the two rarest blessings alongside temporal magic. Let's go, Yan Yi waved to the two of them. Stepping into the spatial rift first, Gu Qingcheng snapped out of it, and took Luo Yuli's hand, following along. The moment they stepped into the spatial rift, Gu Qingcheng felt his vision twisting rapidly. In the very next second, he felt as if his feet were firmly planted on the ground. Once the dizziness in his head subsided, Gu Qingcheng scanned his surroundings. He realized it was a spacious office, roughly the size of a classroom. The room was surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, skyscrapers stood tall like a dense forest. Just a few steps away was Longdu. Above the office, advanced machinery was densely suspended overhead. Occasionally, bursts of colorful lights flickered. Director Yan, you're back. Behind the desk, a stunningly beautiful woman stood up. Tao Yenye greeted her. The woman was dressed in a white blouse and a black skirt. A classic business professional outfit. It accentuated her curvaceous figure, exuding a blend of allure and icy elegance. She looked slightly surprised at the moment. To everyone's surprise, Director Yan was followed by a man and a woman. They appeared to be two young people with the look of students. Director Yan's office contained plenty of top-secret information. Other than myself, who serves as the secretary, no one else has ever entered. For so many years, this rule has remained unchanged. Hardly any outsiders have ever been allowed in. The young woman had a stunningly beautiful appearance. Her figure looked as though she had walked straight out of an anime. The young man had sharp, striking features with defined brows. His eyes radiated a piercing intensity, as if trying to slice through everything in its path. Xiaohong served tea to the two honored guests. Late at night, he gave the woman a meaningful glance. Uncle Yan, there's no need to be so formal. If you have something to say, just go ahead. As long as it's something I can help with, I will do my best to assist. Gu Qingcheng said with a smile. It's always nice how straightforward you are, Xiao Gu. The reason I came today is because I need your help. But for now, it's no longer necessary. Seeing Gu Qingcheng's look of confusion, Lian Yi explained. I've been stuck at the peak of the Emperor realm for a full 10 years, struggling to comprehend the path of slaughter. Yesterday, I sensed the flow of Dao rhythm emanating from Guangling City, and it happens to align with my own path of slaughter. So I asked Governor Luo to invite you to the music hall for me. After seeing the Dao rhythm you displayed today, I've gained some new understanding. However, the aura of the Dao surrounding you is simply immense beyond measure. Its level is extraordinarily high. Even just a tiny trace of it. I still need some time to fully absorb it. I hope that after I have completely absorbed this Dao aura, you can once again showcase the Dao aura for me. A sharp cracking sound rang out. The blue and white porcelain cup in Xiaohong's hand shattered instantly. The tea that was inside spilled all over the floor. Xiaohong stared blankly at Gu Qingchen, her gaze frozen. It took quite a while to react. Hurriedly said in a fluster, "Sorry, I'll clean it up right away." Xiaohong lowered her head and apologized. She started cleaning the floor. Her eyes were filled with shock, unable to fade away for a long time. What's going on? This boy, who only looks like a student, had already comprehended the Tao. This force is overwhelmingly immense. Even someone as powerful as Director Yan, who is at the peak of the Emperor realm, cannot comprehend it immediately. It still takes time to process. What kind of unparalleled genius is he? Wouldn't it be more fitting to call him a monster instead? Behind Gu Qingchen, Luo Yuli's small lips parted slightly. Her bright, watery eyes showed a hint of surprise, although she also sensed a portion of Gu Qingchen's power. But unexpectedly, it turned out to be the ultimate sense of righteousness. No problem, as long as I can help Uncle Yan. Gu Qingchen gave a slight smile, humbly responded with a simple acknowledgement. Little Gu, if you ever run into any trouble in the future, just give Uncle Yan a call. Uncle Yan will take care of it for you. Yan Yiling laughed heartily, then continued speaking. But rest assured as well, Uncle Yan, this time you won't be eating for free. If you take this item with you. He removed a blood-red token from his waist and tossed it over to Gu Qingchen. Before Gu Qingchen could ask anything, Yan Yiling explained, in just a few days, it will be the day when the Guanling City's Demon Tribunal begins recruiting for reserve members. With this token in hand, you only need to pass the reserve member test. Your profile will be entered into the system. Your position at the Tribunal of Dark Forces will automatically be elevated to Deacon. Deacon of the Tribunal of Dark Forces. Gu Qingchen was momentarily stunned. Yan Ye's order seemed like an attempt to fully recruit him into the team. He lowered his head and began carefully weighing the pros and cons. Looking at Gu Qingchen, there was a hint of hesitation in his eyes. Yan Ye spoke with a serious tone, saying to Xiao Gu, "Don't be in a rush to turn it down just yet. Our Demon Judgment Office doesn't deal with trivial matters." The Demon Judgment Office, unlike other government agencies in Daxia, it's a specialized organization operating independently of Daxia's legal system. By joining as a steward or higher in the Demon Judgment Office, you won't be restricted by task limitations, and you'll also gain the authority to act first and report later within Daxia, the authority held by the office's stewards, practically akin to being the governor of Guanling City. There's also a generous monthly salary. What? Gu Qingchen's eyes suddenly lit up. Why didn't you just say there's a salary earlier? The family is so poor we can barely make ends meet. If that's the case, then I'll gladly thank Uncle Yan. Gu Qingchen accepted the token, expressed gratitude with the peach flame knight emblem. Now, countless divine beings stand firmly behind me. He is confident that he can secure the position of deacon. Wishing you the best of luck. Oh, by the way, once you officially become a deacon, I will come to find you. At that time, I will reveal the true nature of this world to you. I will show you what the world truly looks like. The true nature of the world. What does that even mean? Could it be that the martial arts world I see now isn't the real version of it? Gu Qingchen was puzzled in his mind. He just felt a little dazed. Yan Yiling waved his hand. A spatial rift opened at its original location. I've finished explaining my matters. If there's nothing else, you all can leave now. This spatial rift can transport you to any location within the downtown area of Guangling. Of course, if you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome. Gu Qingchen smiled faintly at Luo Yuli. Luo Yuli, see you in a couple of days. I'll be thinking of you. Noticing the change in how Gu Qingchen addressed her, a hint of joy flickered across Luo Yuli's face. Even though they had shared several intimate moments earlier at Yingyue Tower, it was all under the pretense of playing the role of lovers, and nothing more than that. The nature of their relationship in Gu Qingchen's mind. What stage has it truly reached? He felt somewhat uneasy deep down. Blushing, he nodded obediently. Then he followed behind Gu Qingchen and stepped right into the rift. Their figures vanished from the office. Once the spatial rift completely closed, Xiao Hong spoke with a hint of worry. Director Yan, Gu must still be a student. You directly promoted him to deacon. This might not align with the proper rules. Every deacon in each city has gone through years of rigorous evaluation before they are qualified for the role. In fact, most members of the Demon Judgment Bureau work their entire lives yet never reached the position of deacon. The deacon of Guangling City recently died in the line of duty. Nearly all the captains of the Judgment Bureau are eagerly eyeing that position. Now having someone who appears so young take on the role of a city's steward. Even though the young man is a genius who has grasped the essence of Tao, but based on my own observations, the aura around him seems to be at no more than the martial artist level. The standard for a steward's level is typically equivalent to the great perfection stage. A steward at the later stages of a martial artist's level. It's hard to imagine how he could command respect, especially when a young student takes on the role of a steward. It is truly unprecedented and unparalleled. Xiaohong, are you perhaps underestimating his talent? The salt industry order spoke with a calm tone. The magnitude of the killing intent he carries is beyond what you can imagine. Even the four great martial gods cannot compare to him. And compared to yesterday, today, his mastery of the Tao has undergone new changes. Compared to yesterday, this young man has comprehended a new realm of meaning. What kind of monster is this? Xiaohong was momentarily stunned. I'm not sure what to say. Besides, I've never even considered it. He's truly capable of taking on the role of steward in Guangling City. His talent is undeniably astonishing. He's like an unpolished gem of remarkable quality. However, even the finest raw jade needs to be refined. As for the team captains in Guangling City, they're known for their eccentric and fiery personalities. They could serve as the perfect whetstone for him. As long as he manages to secure the steward's position within a year, then my arrangements do serve a purpose. Yan Yiling's gaze was as deep as the ocean. It felt as if everything was under careful control. Xiaohong instinctively nodded her head. So that's how it is. Serving as the steward of Guangling City within a year. Such speed is truly astonishing. I didn't expect Director Yan to have this kind of plan. With the talent this young man possesses, driven by the pressure at hand, it's hard to imagine the speed at which he could improve. Oh right, Xiaohong. Help me activate the permission system. I need to raise Gu Qingchen's identity concealment level. You're aware of the recent situation in the building. It's becoming increasingly dangerous. The information about this unparalleled genius must be kept absolutely confidential. Yan Yi issued an identity verification. A golden streak of light appearing on the Azure screen. Welcome, esteemed SG authority holder. As the director of the Tribunal of Evil Judgment, his authority is equivalent to that of the 7 great emperors. Both are classified as S-level. Except for the 4 great war gods, no one in the Grand Xia holds higher authority than him. Even the 7 great emperors, who control the real power of Grand Xia, can only equal his level of authority. Searching for Guangling City, Gu Qingchen made adjustments. He updated the hidden permissions. Using voice input, he said in a commanding tone. This is the highest level of authority he can access as an S-rank individual. Currently searching. Gu Qingchen in Guangling City is making modifications. Modification failed. Your permissions are insufficient to alter this person's hidden information. A red exclamation mark appeared at the top of the screen. Insufficient permissions. In the office, the two people instantly found themselves staring at each other in confusion over the S-level clearance. Faced with the S-level clearance, the two in the office exchanged bewildered glances. Not sufficient to alter a high school student's identity information. What's going on? Why did the equipment break down? There's no way to know. Find someone to fix it. Yan Yi turned his gaze toward Xiaohong, frowning slightly with some dissatisfaction. Not at all, I was busy this morning. It has also been used to handle several identity documents. Could it be that the device has crashed? Xiaohong, feeling puzzled, pressed the restart button. After restarting, Yan Yiling attempted voice input once again. Tried to make changes, but it still didn't work. Switched to another device. Who else is at the tribunal today? Yan Yiling frowned deeply. Director Yan. It seems that Elder Wang is in charge of the trial today. Just as Xiaohong finished speaking, the Salt Commissioner moved with incredible speed, taking a single step forward. In the very next moment, he appeared in front of an office door on the 3rd floor. Leaning close to the door, faint sounds could be heard. Indistinct noises of a man and woman came from inside. The door to the office was violently kicked open by the salt industry. Next to the desk stood a middle-aged bald man, with a massive dark mole on his head. At that moment, a glamorous woman in black stockings was being held in his arms, her clothes disheveled as he kissed her. hearing the loud crash of the door breaking behind him. Elder Wang, who was caught up in the moment, shuddered in shock. His blood ran cold, and his previously content expression instantly fell apart. The woman let out a scream. She hurriedly grabbed the clothes nearby, covering her body in a rush, but was interrupted abruptly. Elder Wang's veins bulged on his forehead. He flew into a rage instantly. Who the hell dared to barge in here? Damn, it's Lord Yen. Seeing the familiar crimson mask in front of him, Elder Wang jumped 3 feet high in shock. The expression on his face changed instantly. This is bad. Why is it this formidable figure? Where is the identity verification device in the office? Yen Yiling didn't waste any words with him. He spoke concisely. The aura of menace uncontrollably surged from him. The identity verification area is over there with Lord Yen. He could feel the immense pressure emanating from Yen Yiling. Elder Wang instantly broke into a cold sweat. His trembling finger pointed shakily behind him. Yen Yiling stepped forward to the equipment, inserted their ID card. Clearly stated to search for Guanling City. Gu Qingchen updated his hidden permissions to level 1. Beep, modification failed. Your permissions are insufficient to modify Gu Qingchen's hidden identity information. Yen Yiling's expression changed drastically. He stared intently at the screen, as if he couldn't believe his own eyes. A new device has already been replaced. Why does it still fail? It's impossible for 2 devices to fail at the same time. If that's the case, then the seemingly impossible result must inevitably be the correct answer. A thought slowly emerged in the mind as the answer. This boy's hidden privileges are very likely above my own. That idea flashed through. A chill rose from beneath Yen Yiling's feet, gradually spreading throughout his entire body. Behind this young man lurks an existence far more terrifying than his own status. The 4 martial gods. Or perhaps the wise master who vanished from Disya years ago. Yen Yiling could only feel. The sheer volume of information overwhelmed him, leaving no time to process. Meanwhile, Elder Wang stood by, completely at a loss, staring blankly at the equipment controlled by Yen Yiling. The only thing left in my mind was the red alert on the screen. Modification failed. You don't have sufficient privileges to change the hidden identity information of Gu Qingchen. I'm back. Gu Qingchen pushed open the door to his home. The noise of the television in the living room rushed toward him. At that moment, scarlet and dim yellow light streamed through the window, falling softly across his face. Above the dome, the dim yellow sun about to set, blended with a fading crimson hue, like blood about to dissipate, merged together seamlessly, resembling an eerie yet stunning masterpiece. On his way home, Gu Qingchen noticed this remarkable scene. This was precisely the celestial phenomenon revealed by his dear god's swordsmanship. Yet even Gu Qingchen himself hadn't anticipated it. I had already made a round trip between Longdu and Guangling City, traveling back and forth once. The phenomenon of the crimson blood moon has not yet completely faded, and it can still coexist with the original setting sun. At this moment, Gu Xiaoyu was resting her chin in her hands. Her long, snow-white legs were kneeling on the chair by the windowsill, staring blankly into the midair. The scene where the crimson moon fused with the blazing sun. Hearing the sound of my brother returning home, Gu Xiaoyu waved excitedly at Gu Qingchen. This is a once-in-a-century view. Come and check it out, hurry. Gu Qingchen placed the large and small bags on the dining table. She smiled slightly. Isn't it just the sun and the moon appearing at the same time? What's there to get so worked up about? Your brother brought some delicious food back today. You've definitely never had this before. Come and give it a try. But Xiaoyu kept staring out the window, fixating on the dome above. There was a hint of envy in his eyes. Experts on TV had just analyzed, creating such a miraculous phenomenon between heaven and earth. Even a supreme-level master might not be able to achieve it. Then he glanced down at what he was holding, muttering to himself, that must be the supreme realm. If I were in the supreme realm, my family definitely wouldn't have to worry about money. Seeing Bu Xiaoyu's little money-loving expression, Gu Qingchen couldn't help but let out a silent laugh. When the supreme mirror was mentioned, someone immediately thought about money. Gu Qingchen suddenly felt a pang of guilt in his heart. Ever since his parents had a mishap at home, the family's finances had been supported by him working part-time during his free time. But after entering his senior year of high school, things started to shift. Time for himself became increasingly scarce. The financial burden of the family fell squarely on Bu Xiaoyu, who had just entered high school. Aside from attending school every day, he also had to take on part-time jobs after school to help support the household. This resulted in a significant reduction in the time he could dedicate to practicing martial arts, and the pace of his progress slowed considerably. Yet even under such circumstances, he still managed to break through 3 levels during his first year of high school, advanced from the first stage of Qi Si to the 4th stage, if placed in an environment rich in resources. With Gu Xiaoyu's martial arts talent, during the college entrance exam, at the very least, he would be a genius on the same level as Luo Yuli. Before awakening the Divine Spirit Hall, it was indeed himself who had been holding his sister back, but now, he is fully confident to take control of this family's future in his own hands. Rest assured, Xiaoyu, isn't it just money? Your brother can get it for you in no time. Gu Qingchen smiled faintly. He reached out again, trying to pat Gu Xiaoyu's head. Gu Xiaoyu skillfully dodged to the side. She pursed her lips. What a bragger. Oh really? Then take a look at this. Gu Qingchen picked up the paper bag on the dining table and slowly opened it. A rich and enticing aroma quickly filled the entire room. Various luxurious dishes in the paper bag were taken out one by Gu Qingchen. Steamed grouper, bear paw, lobster, and giant scallops. A variety of dishes, extravagant meals that Gu Xiaoyu had never even seen before, were laid out on the table. At the center of each dish's presentation was a small blue crescent moon. The moon has 3 small characters carved on it, reading Yingyue Pavilion. As a native of Guangling, Gu Xiaoyu naturally knew about Yingyue Pavilion. Yingyue Pavilion, as a restaurant renowned throughout the entire Luoyang province, is famous not only for its delicious food, but more importantly, every ingredient in Yingyue Pavilion's dishes is not only flavorful, but also helps nourish the meridians and replenish vitality, making it an excellent health supplement for martial artists. But Gu Xiaoyu's most lasting impression of Yingyue Tower is still summed up with one word: expensive. And not just ordinarily expensive. One dish inside is almost equivalent to this family's monthly expenses. Looking at the table in front of her, which was now covered with a lavish spread from the feast prepared by Yingyue Tower, Gu Xiaoyu instinctively swallowed hard, then turned her head and cautiously asked her brother, "You're not planning to use mom's pension, are you? That's the money we need for college." Gu Qingchen tapped Gu Xiaoyu lightly on the head. He laughed and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? Do you really think your brother is that thoughtful? A martial arts master invited me to dinner today, but something unexpected happened. The meal didn't happen as planned, so I brought everything back with me." Before heading home, Gu Qingchen made a special trip to Yingyue Tower. He informed the manager, "Prepare the entire menu ordered by Director Yan at noon, and then pack it to go. The supreme martial arts. Let me treat you to a meal." Gu Xiaoyu stared at Gu Qingchen. Her expression was strange. It was almost like she had "Are you taking me for a fool?" written all over her face. These words were practically written on her expression. "Of course, your brother is quite the hot commodity now. What do you think? If you don't want to talk about it, then forget it. I don't even want to know." Gu Xiaoyu turned her head away in a huff. She picked up a large piece of lobster meat and stuffed it into her mouth. The lobster meat melted in her mouth. A burst of rich flavor filled her senses.